I didn't sell out, son. I bought in. Keep that in mind.
All right, that's enough of that. Welcome to episode 255 of the Independent Characters. This is Carl.
This is Chelle.
And this is Josh.
Hey, Josh. We are just back from Adepticon, as you can probably hear in my voice because I'm a little bit sick.
Yeah.
Keep testing for COVID so far. Nothing. I'm blaming Aaron for coming out there.
Absolutely.
First off, let me just throw this out there. This show is sponsored today by Russell Tassiker and Jeff Igelski, who are two of our fantastic Patreon subscribers. We appreciate it. And we appreciate your support. We're also part of the Goonhammer Media Network. You can check out more at media.goonhammer.com for shows and information. And this episode is kind of just our Adepticon 2025 review. It's at a new location. Chelle, you've been twice before. This is
so,
your
yeah.
third go-around. This is like my 14th or 15th go-around. And Josh, I don't remember how many times you've gone.
Oh, I think this was number 4 for me.
Oh, that few. I thought you'd been to more than that.
Nope. The 2020, 2021 pandemic cancellations cut a few shy for me.
That's true.
2020 was supposed to be my first Adepticon.
That's right. All right. Well, listen. Yeah. First off, thanks for joining us, Chelle.
I'm back.
You're back.
Welcome back.
I feel a little bit like I've been duped.
You know, no, listen.
The power of the mic has gone straight to her head.
Yeah. This was her idea.
It
like
was.
I even put up the banner with just you and me, Josh, and then she felt. I think your words were, "I would like to join. I have some things to say about Adepticon," and I was like, "Welcome to the party." You know, I was
You're
gonna
always
ask you.
welcome.
Yes, this is what I tell her. She feels like she's intruding, and I'm like, "You didn't intrude all Adepticon. You're certainly not intruding now." So welcome.
I don't know if you passed it on to Chelle, Carl, but there were several comments on YouTube specifically that called out.
Oh, were there?
Really appreciating your opinion, Chelle. Yeah, there's a lot of listeners, fellow wives of gamers also even commented on some of the YouTubes. Yeah.
Okay.
And greatly appreciated your insights and perspective. So, yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
All right.
You always worry that you're like an anchor.
I also feel like I don't have a lot to say.
Well, listen, that's
Most
fine.
of the time I don't have a lot to say, but this particular topic.
Yeah,
It's fine. Carl talks a lot. You're fine.
yeah, I got you covered. Everybody also hears Aria running through the room again. Listen, she's 14. She can do whatever she wants at this
He
point.
keeps saying 14, and it's been over a year of saying 14.
She's getting close to 15.
No,
She's
she is 15.
She's deaf. She can't hear a thing either, but we can all hear her. So with that, let's leap into Elite Choice right here. And let's go, you know what, Chelle, let's start with you. You had one you'd picked and then realized they're in the
Not
Hall
allowed
of
to
Legends.
pick them.
Can't pick Neil Tweed.
No. I can't pick Neil Tweed. And
But what would you
I
have
can't pick
picked?
the Warp Spider.
Yeah, the Warp Spider.
Oh, God.
Is a worthy call out. That's an amazing paint job. Neil sent it to me because those are next up on my painting desk. And so I was like, do you have any advice for how to paint these models?
Yeah.
And he
He's like,
sent you
definitely
that?
sub-assemblies, like headset. Yeah, he sent. Yeah, he did. He's like, yeah, just
a
do it
little
like
rude.
this, bro. It's super easy.
Yeah.
I was pointing out like some models as we were looking at them both at Adepticon and here, and we were talking about edge highlighting, and one of the things I pointed out in Neil's was like, look how sharp his edge highlights are. Like I aspire to be able to paint them that sharp. You know, it just takes practice. You know, but hitting it at the right angle in some of these, and then I mess up one time.
And the
I'm
right
like,
color. Like he's got edge highlighting on multiple different colors.
Yes.
Like even on the right.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
I'm a sucker for a Warp Spider.
Enough about Neil. He doesn't get any mentions.
He didn't get any mention. We're not talking about him.
We'll just say there's a reason he's in the Hall of Legends.
Yeah. But who did you pick instead?
All right. So I picked Couchman's Land Raider from Discord.
Yeah.
And it really caught my eye. That edge highlighting, the blue edge highlighting specifically, kind of looked like well, my first reaction was Tron.
Okay.
Like it gave me that kind of neon light vibe. And then, which made me think about, like, it felt like maybe there's blue neon lights coursing over the whole machine. And then he's got the red that makes that pop as well. And
Yeah.
the details on the, I don't know what to call it, but
That's okay.
the silver plating at the front.
Yeah, those are the assault grenade launchers,
There you
I
go.
believe. Yes, on
Yeah.
the Land Raider.
Yeah.
So
It's just super unique. And I
Yeah.
it,
that blue edge highlighting is often used. Caleb was trying to get me to do that on my Black Legion.
Yeah.
It's often used. Like, you see this in comic book art a lot too. When somebody does like black hair,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
put blue in there
Yeah.
to kind of represent the shine of light. And so I think that's what he's going for here. It looks good. It stands out.
and
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's not one blue edging. It's
No, it's two.
2 or 3, I think.
Yeah.
Different colors there. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, gradients of highlights on the
Yeah.
edges. Yeah, and it's again a very, very crisp edge
hard.
highlight, and the blue contrasts so nicely with the red. Is you were talking about Chelle?
Yeah.
It's just like an application of color theory there, also with
Yeah.
that kind of blue and red
And the little
pot
green
pairing off each
gems.
other.
Yeah. So much.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, Josh, what did you pick?
Yeah, I went with Riser Burn Kim, also from Discord. This is Iron Warriors display board. And this is a fantastic display. It's a beautiful army on a beautiful display board. They have used those Necromunda floor tiles, it looks like, as the base of the display board. And then they've built up some three-dimensional terrain using some of the kind of the Factorum style terrain. So we've got multiple levels of terrain with kind of this floorboard. And then that we have the Factorum little like spires with their kind of gangplanks and things like that. So models spread out around that. The army itself is gorgeous, especially all those hazard stripes tying into both the models.
Yeah.
There's a couple Vindicators in there that have them on the Siege Shield, which is a must. But then it's also tied into the floor on the display board. But to take it to the next level, there's also just a gorgeous, gorgeous background attached to this photo background. So it just gives the piece so much depth. Like it has,
what I
it's
thought?
got height, it's got depth.
You know what I thought when I saw that background was like, we got sent that background and we have not used it.
We got to use it.
in any
we got
of
to
our
use
games.
it.
We haven't. I don't know that we've played a game that we.
I don't think
have
you and
thrown
I
it.
have played a game.
No, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that soon.
Yeah.
If Steph
Yeah,
was,
absolutely.
wasn't back Friday, I'd complain. And I wasn't potentially sick, so I don't want to give that to anybody. It's fantastic looking, and I saw the background and I was like, we got to use this background. It's awesome. The one we've got is
We got to set up a big old city fight and
Yep.
use the background
Agreed.
and get some amazing shots. So
Agreed.
yeah, it'll happen.
All right. Well, I think it's an excellent choice. I absolutely find this stunning.
Display boards blow my mind. Like every time I see someone who's done a display board, I'm like, that's like a whole different hobby in itself.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we saw a bunch at
Absolutely.
Adepticon, and it's just a whole different. I don't have a display board.
No, you don't.
I couldn't even fathom what it would look like.
For all I know, it'd have lightning bolts all over.
Well, yeah.
Did we talk about your nails last episode?
I don't know.
I don't think we.
They weren't done.
I don't think we did. So I chose Alex Bean Thompson and his great looking Death Guard mounted unit on sort of horses, whatever these things are at this point. I think they're
Rough Riders, not Death Guard.
Oh, excuse me, not Death Guard, Rough Riders. They look very much Death Guard-y, though.
they do.
Are they?
It's fan. They're Rough Riders.
Oh, yeah,
Those
yeah.
are the
Yeah.
new Rough Riders.
Oh, you know what? I should know this because we gave out one of these kits as an award to a player in the 40K Flex. So I should recognize them. Oh, yeah, they are Rough Riders, aren't they? Man, they
Or
are.
the Krieg Rough Riders. Yeah, those are fantastic models. And
He has done
really
such a
nicely
good.
done.
Yeah, he's done such a good
Yeah.
job. The coloring, the skin on the horses looks fantastic. Just every aspect of this looks. You know what it looks? It looks grimdark, and
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
super dig it. Super dig, and it's done
That
with
was-
skill, like you can see. Yeah.
That was going to be a top choice in my elite choice running as well. So I'm glad you picked it.
Nice.
So which?
'Cause
I'm sorry.
it's
Which army
gorgeous,
is this
yeah.
from?
Imperial Guard.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're just Like, are these the guys with the tips of their spears or lances are like they have lance ability, if I remember correctly. Like they're pretty nasty.
They've got,
like they can take out vehicles and stuff.
Exploding spears.
Yeah.
These are the guys that I think gave you a pretty hard time in your play on tabletop game.
Everything
along with everything else, but
including my dice.
Yes.
Jeez, why do you got to bring that up again? I'm gonna go back there.
You got to bring up old stuff.
I'm gonna go back there, and I'm gonna not bring a list that's like, oh, look at my fluffy guys. I'm gonna bring like, hey, look at my beat stick list. Now let's go. Look, all twos again. That's exactly exactly what'll happen. And then later when I talk about a game I played with Campbell, I'll describe another epic moment like that. I don't know. You know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I don't know why I play dice games.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's take a short break. Then we'll come back. We'll get into games played. We'll get into the main topic of the show, which is kind of our coverage of Adepticon and what we did and saw there. And additionally, we're gonna have some interviews with some of our friends that went, including Blake and Ed from Life After the Cover Save, as well as Travis from Life After the Cover Save in two separate interviews. And then and then we will also have Craig and Skye, who all went. And, spoiler alert, but Craig ended up placing pretty well in Golden Demon, and he was so nervous and excited about it when he realized he was in the finals. He was like, I think I'm going to throw up. And so I'm really here. Yeah. I haven't talked to him since he got what he got. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to hear how his reaction to that was, because I was excited along with him. Yeah.
He came back with some hardware and multiple, not just Golden Demon, but playing too, right? Won some game awards also. Yeah, so I think he had a great con. So I'm very excited to hear from them.
I've yet to win
and I'll say in the Adeptus Titanicus game, the whole room of doubles, those two guys were having the most fun, like more fun than anybody else in that entire room. So I'm very excited to hear their take.
Love to hear it. All right, so we will be right back. All right, we're back, and we are kicking off with a little bit of hobby progress. So let's start with Chelle. Chelle, what hobby progress have you got?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay. She didn't do much leading up to. You didn't do much leading up to.
I have fallen off of the hobby wagon. I haven't.
That doesn't bode well.
No.
You guys are prepped.
I got my nails done.
You did get your nails done.
They look good.
Did we talk? Good. I don't know that we talked about this last episode, but
I don't think we did because it wasn't done. Right?
Why don't you go for it?
Okay, so I went to my nail salon and had my nails done in a dark purple, and then I came home, and Carl used the airbrush to add the lightning that matches my Night Lord's lightning.
That's right.
And Then I popped back over to the salon and she sealed it all up for us.
She was a little concerned that Chelle was leaving the nail salon.
My nail tech was quite concerned. She was a little confused. She wanted to know what kind of airbrush was going to be used, like what size was it?
Like, I don't know.
And what kind of paint was going to be done. And she offered to send home paint to do it with, and I said, well, let's just go ahead and do it the way
interesting.
We're planning, and then if that doesn't work, then I'll take you up on it. And then when I went back,
nail polish that destroys your airbrush.
She was quite impressed.
Quite impressed.
Nice.
Called multiple. So she's the owner of the salon, and then she called over her various employees to come look at. She said, look at this lightning that her husband painted on him. Isn't that such a cool husband to do that?
So
future side hustle for you, Carl.
Listen, turns out like I'm not the only husband that has done this for mini gamer, not necessarily lightning bolts, but like painted nails. We had many people complimented you on your nails.
They're cool. Yeah. They're awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was fun. I was a little more nervous doing those than I was anything I was painting.
So that's my hobby project.
There you go.
And I didn't even do it.
And
So.
Nice. Yeah. You rocked it.
It was
they,
pretty
they looked amazing.
It was pretty fun. It was a great idea, Chelle. It was a great idea. Okay, I'll launch into my hobby progress. Then we can go to you, Josh. So I played a bit with the Villainy ink set that I talked about that I got before. After watching their videos and such on
and
how
you have not oil washed, right? Because it's a almost identical process to an oil wash, which I've been saying for a lot of your stuff is like that would look so good with an oil wash.
Yeah, I think
so I'm excited.
I get it. But so I did try using the Villainy ink set, and to be fair here, I tried to shortcut it, hoping it was like some magic solution that I put on my on a.
Did you slap chop the ink?
No. I had a previously painted Minotaur. It was at the state where I would now do like a oil wash or whatnot, and so I applied it to that, and then did the reductive process of removing it, and it came out great. It didn't come out how I was hoping it would come out, meaning like super grimdark or whatnot. And to be fair, again, I didn't follow their process. I took something I already had painted, tried to apply this and see what the results were. The results looked like I took something I already had painted and applied this stuff and then did the reductive process on it. So, I mean, you get what if you don't follow the instructions, that's what you get. It was a good experiment, and it was good to do it for my first attempt just to see how it all works. I will try to follow their step-by-step process on some other models a little bit later and see where that gets me. And then I do like the oil wash.
Can you change the consistency on those? Like for me, when I mix an oil wash, I can make it really thick. I can make it really thin. And that depends on how I want that oil wash to function. Yeah, do I want to add more grime on there? Do I want it to weather, or do I want it to actually evaporate and just leave pigments in, where it's had its little capillary effect filling in those fine details.
You can thin them out a bit. You couldn't thicken them at all, but you can thin them out. And you can also, there's also several different colors, so you can use them for different effect. Sometimes using multiples or mixing even different colors. So it's a great set. I need to use it properly. I just tried to, what if I did this? What would it look like? Well, it looks like I did that. Okay. That's, you got to follow the process, right? So, but it was a good experiment. The other thing I did was I finally purchased this, model at Adepticon, the Mechanitrix, and it's a creature caster demon that I've kind of had my eyes on for a while. It's a little pricey. I had talked about converting my Vastor the Arcaphane, building my own tentacles and stuff to build kind of a base for him. The more I did that, the more I was unhappy with the direction it was going. And this model I had looked at previously, and she comes with a tail of basically cables and things based on the name Mechanitrix. And I was a little concerned, is the scale right? Is this going to look right if I basically keep the lower half of her, but the torso of Vastor, and I had to cut the torso. So I pulled out my Dremel and went to town on the torso once I had it kind of all assembled and stuff. And then I did a bunch of green stuff work there and used my rudimentary green stuff sculpting abilities and actually worked really well so far. So it's still a work in progress. I've still got more to do, but I do have the torso attached to the legs. I've got a bunch of stuff gap filled. I got to fill a few more gaps. I've got the wings on.
Yeah.
He's 85% there. Yeah. And so and it looks so much better. I like it better than the legs on that guy. I think the chicken legs look really dumb.
He's for a demon prince, he doesn't have a ton of presence. He's kind of a skinny, scrawny dude with a cool aesthetic, but he's thin. He's lanky.
He stands out now and looks a little more ominous. He's kind of leaning, covering over his enemy. So I think it came out.
And him being kind of that dark Mechanicus Demon Prince trying to become an additional Chaos God. It gives him more presence, and it's definitely in theme. So yeah, nicely done.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about how it's going, and it'll be fun to paint once I get started on that. So, and that leads into some things that I want to add. I've got like a bunch of Demon Engines half painted at this point that I just need to knock out, and then I've got the edging on them, so I need to just do like the skin work and stuff. So that was me. What did you work on?
Yeah, I haven't done a ton. I did a lot of painting in prep for Adepticon with all the Shatterpoint and Bushido and the Direwolf Titan for Titanicus. So for me, obviously we were at Adepticon, so I didn't paint a lot, and we recorded pretty recently. I did have to repair a few Eldar in my Kara multi-case. I had to just like pack my bag with a ton of stuff coming home. I did not leave myself much space at all, partially by intention to bring a lot of things home, because like my backlog is pretty stacked. It's like I don't need that many things. So the few things that I did, yeah, I wouldn't have had room for that. I
pulled
would have been me giving it away to somebody on an elevator again. Yeah, I won 2 boxes of Shatterpoint stuff, and then bought a box off AJ. Oh no, AJ gave me a box. So I got 3 boxes of Shatterpoint stuff, and that was honestly the only thing that I had on my list, hoping to get at Adepticon anyways. And I combined those 3 boxes into 2, and that was about all the room I had in my backpack. So anyways, long story short, I had to repair a few arms on my Eldar just because they ended up getting slammed just in transport. Yeah. My Wraithlord's sword popped off just at the wrist where the hand attaches to the wrist, so that's a super easy fix. And then one of my Guardian arm pops off, so it was a nothing repair. I'm working on my Blood Knights for the Old World Escalation League that Skye's shop is hosting there. So I've got all the reds, all the airbrush reds done on those guys, and they will be hopefully ready to go. I need to have them done by next week, so that's kind of the priority, just because the league night happens, and that's when painting is due for that. And I started building a couple Shatterpoint models, just carrying the excitement. I'm building basically a Jedi faction and a Sith faction. There are a few local friends here in Santa Cruz that I am hoping to get into the game, and I think that would just be a fun way to introduce them with, like, here's a bunch of dudes with lightsabers running at each other and having fun. I'm just very excited to get going on my Eldar. I have lists kind of dialed in and figured out, and I've got the direction. And now that all the work that I had prepped for the Eldar that didn't end up making into the list, that, it was like built and primed and ready to go. And then the new codex dropped, and it's like, oh, okay, I won't be using any of these for a while, just with how the detachments work in that book. I've pivoted. I've made some new lists, and I'm actually very, very excited again in the direction that it's going. And that paint scheme is so fun to do. I'm very excited to get back to 40K now that I've got some of the skirmish stuff out of the way. So yeah, not a lot done, but a lot to come.
Yeah, I think I come back from Adepticon kind of excited to start doing stuff. Like, it gets me.
We made a list.
A little motivated. Yeah.
We have a list on things that we want to get
on the plane. I was making a list of, like, here's all the things, especially Space Hulk, because let's see, myself, Chelle, Campbell, Travis, Caleb, Anthony, and Skye all played in Space Hulk. You gave up your spot for Caleb, and so we all got to play Space Hulk. Chelle played the Tyranids.
I loved it.
It killed Anthony instead of you.
Yep. You are 2 for 2, Chelle, on murdering a player. So
an entire squad.
Yes, shark.
I only made it out of there with one guy. Like, I left one guy behind to cover my retreat as I think it was my captain, and the engineer I was escorting made it to the lift. The mission was awesome. I mean, again, we've talked about,
because you guys didn't get to play last year with the new version, so this was your first experience. Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the same mission as last year with the 4 elevators, but holy smokes.
Yeah. It was.
And the Thunderhawk in the middle and trying to get off the exploding vessel. I mean, what a great system these guys have. And the Basement of Death guys are so friendly and just run.
Yeah, absolutely.
they run one of the best events, and unfortunately, it's so limited because it's 6 players per thing, and they can only run it so much. It's got to be exhausting. But we're very fortunate.
And if it was any bigger, it wouldn't be the same experience. So,
even if
I'm glad they've kept it to what it is.
Even if they were to add a second team of people doing it, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be the experience that we experience, right?
No,
it's really their energy has a lot to do with it.
And it would still sell out.
It would. And it should.
Yeah, it would. It would still be fun. It would still be great, but
I
it wouldn't be the same.
100% think they should do that if they have any interest in growing it at all.
Yeah. Well, it was an amazing experience. It was fun to see Caleb and Travis and Anthony, who have not ever played in it before, and the intensity with Caleb was trying to resolve a problem and kept going back and no, okay, wait, if I do this and then I do this, I use this extra point, it still doesn't get me there. It was just finally the whole table's like, Caleb, make your move. This is silly. But I think we got 13 out of the 30 guys off the ship.
Which means that Troy and I killed.
Well, it sounds like 17.
17 of them.
Yeah.
And they were trying to take me out.
I was talking to...
He was trying hard, but I was able to...
I was talking to Troy. He said the lowest number that's ever survived was 9.
Wow.
So you guys are close to that, but...
well, and...
they were bringing it, and that's probably mostly Chelle.
I hope so.
Bringing the pain.
Cheyenne played in it the next day, and they got 13 out.
Oh, only 13?
They tied up.
Oh, okay.
They tied you guys.
And actually, I would have got more out, but I fired the plasma cannon multiple times, ended up blowing myself up. But then I didn't realize it would also blow up anybody near me. And of course, that's where my dice all failed me. And so I killed one of my own guys. So I was doing good up to then. I also, so we played Space Hulk. Chelle and I ran the 40K Flex event. We were supposed to run it 2 days and pass it off to what do they call them? Judges that would run it the other days for us. No shade on those judges, but the judge that showed up, I walked him through how we launched the whole thing at the beginning, but then he was kind of gone, and then the next day I was like, Chelle, you said something to me that really resonated. You're like, I feel like we own this.
Right.
We own this experience. And a lot of it was about setting the tone.
Setting the energy and
absolutely.
The vibe.
The vibe.
The vibe and energy of what it was we had envisioned when we were talking about it. Set
the tone, boys.
Set the tone, boys.
Give them the lumber. So, so we, so I had said, okay, well, I'll come back in the morning and I'll kick it off with the speech and okay, here's what we're doing. And then you guys take it from there. But then it became quickly apparent,
we left and went to breakfast.
Oh, that's right. And I said, hey, how's it going?
And it was a different guy.
And he goes, actually, I've been pulled over to these tables to judge the streaming thing. So I've sent this other guy there. And I'm like, but nobody briefed this guy. This is not about judging or adjudicating stuff.
It's not.
This is about ensuring, So
people are
I
having
said,
a good time, and
that was when you said, I feel like we own this. Yeah. And so we went back and we said, you know what, we'll run it. And so we ended up running it all 4 days. That being said, I'll talk more later about what it means to actually run an event at Adepticon. But I think we didn't feel like we lost out by running it. We enjoyed it.
No, we had a good time.
I did have to step in as a ringer at one point against a much younger player. I said he was maybe 11. Mm-hmm. You said I was given that's aggressive.
He wasn't 11.
9?
He was probably 9 or 10.
Yeah. Now again, this isn't a tournament. It's just an experience.
Right.
And so that's fine. Another player was like, well, I'll play him, because it was we knew there was not a lot of energy about playing this younger player. And his father was playing in the event too. But it's kind of one of those things where I told the guy, look, you've paid money to play in this. You go, I'm not going to put you in a position where, you're effectively doing a teaching game. And so we need to actually think about how we address that.
Yeah.
Set the tone before people register for the event that experience is required. This is not, as much as I was happy to do it.
In the event, you can call that out, right? There's the experience, some experience required. You can say like, this is,
and I think I put
unsupported essentially. Like,
but I do need to put like, I don't know that we can stick an age limit on these things, but I'll talk to the Adepticon staff and see, because this child would not have provided a good experience for anybody that played them. And it wasn't a fault of their own. It's just that 40K requires a certain amount of concentration over a certain amount of time. And there were points where I was like, okay, so, and the kid actually knew some of the rules pretty well.
He knew a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But
he had his whole binder set up to check up on things when he didn't know.
Yep.
But developmentally, focus for that long period of time
at that age
is very difficult.
Yeah. So there were points where like he was just staring off into nothing, and I'm like, so that's 2 hits at AP -1, and he's not responding. And I'm like, hey, buddy. Finally, I'm like, are we in there? It's like, and then I'm like, hey, do you feel like taking a break? He's like, yeah, I think I need to take a break. I was like, that's fine. So I took a bullet for the team. And that's really what it was. I mean, it was not necessarily enjoyable, and cool. So we had fun. No, I mean, I hope he did. Right. For me, it was okay. Let's break this down. I did, however, get a 2,000 point in game against Campbell and his Black Templars. And Campbell has, from many years before, a challenge coin that I threw down against Campbell. I've never gotten it back.
He said it was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 8 years ago. And I've never gotten it back. And Campbell's clearly a better player than I am and stronger. But what I will say is our game was going pretty well for me initially. Like, I was thinking, okay, he has 2 Land Raiders on the table. I had 1. God, try as I might, like, I could not pop one. Like,
man, but before I left, his army was bouncing off yours, so it's like, oh, there's hope.
Yeah, like I was making all kinds of saves. Oh, what, 5 ups? Here you go. Like it was going actually quite well. But Campbell's army, and I knew this from having heard him talk about it and whatnot. In round 3 is where everything kind of comes out, and and that's when everything came out. But that being said, like, I came real close to like stopping him. And the thing I'm actually excited about is I did present him with hard choices. Like, he was like, I need to think about this, like, so it wasn't like he just rolled right over me, he did have to think about, okay, how do I want to deal with this? And how do I want to deal with that? But I mean, Abaddon ended up teleporting back to the battle. 5
paths of how to table Carl. Which one do I want to take?
Maybe, but even he was like, man, your saves are just on point. And then finally, we played a little bit of round 4 because I just wanted to see how a couple fights played out. And when my Demon Prince, who hits on 2s and would wound on 3s against what he was fighting, rolled like 7 1s and a 2, I was like, yeah,
I saw that picture.
You got it. You got it, but
classic Tuttle dice.
And I think he said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry your dice." I'm like, "Do not apologize for my dice." I'm like, "I'm so sick of people apologizing to me for my dice." Like, I'll take it like the champion I am. So yeah, Abaddon teleported back to the battle barge. That was my games played. That was my games played.
Withdrawal.
What about you? You played a lot.
I played.
You were off playing.
I overcommitted a bit, and honestly, the not seeing me was partially from being overbooked, but also partially because of how big the venue is now. Mm-hmm. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I was busy because I couldn't get into the flex. It's like my mentality going into this was I'm going to sign up for a bunch of smaller games that I can't get games in as regularly back home. And I'm also trying to build communities of potentially in Santa Cruz specifically, like just trying to build up the local scene through Sky Shop.
Yeah.
So Wednesday night, I actually kicked things off. First game of the con was a game of Shatterpoint against Wrath. community, Pillar Raph, and he was supposed to be doing Shatterpoint doubles with a buddy of his, and they were playing all Ewoks. And Raph was dressed up as an Ewok, and his buddy was going to be dressed up as Princess Leia, but his buddy ended up coming down with COVID, so he had to drop out of that. So
how much must that suck?
But he had the Yeah, like they had the theme. They won best theme last year for it because it's doubles. It's very similar to like the 40K friendly, where it's kind of theme first and fun and less of the tournament.
But I mean, how much does it just suck? Like you're going to Adepticon and then you come down with COVID before.
If you had come down with COVID, before going Adepticon,
I'd have been heartbroken.
Missed it. We would have spent the entire year of you being miserable about missing it.
Just we were kind of isolating ourselves prior to Adepticon. Yeah. Like we were just staying home playing games. We weren't really going anywhere. I'm well aware leading up to this event, I got to be cautious because I feel bad for him. That sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. So because like his buddy hadn't gone and they had to drop out of that team event. I was like, you've got the costume, you've got the stuff. Put the costume on. We're making this game happen. So we had a really fun game. And the price of entry for that game was sampling Malort, as you may or may not know. Is he's a big pusher, especially in the Discord at previous Adepticons as a Malort pusher there. So I tried it. It was the cost of the experience. I won't be having it again, but I can say I sampled it and had a really, really fun game with Raph. So I'm glad that was a great, kind of way to kick the con off.
Winner got
the next morning.
Winner got to wear the Princess Leia costume. When I earlier I was talking about the Mechatrix thing that I was assembling. Campbell is so fun. Campbell is so. Both Campbell and Dan they're very smart individuals, but they're also very clever. Yep. And I saw in the thread, I posted a picture of I'm going to combine these two models to make this thing, and people were like, "Oh yeah, that's really cool." And one person said, "Yeah, I'm glad you're getting rid of the endowed portion of that model because the creature caster folks, I mean, they kind of make adult models in some ways, and it's like the top of topless, and I'm like, I don't really want that." And
they're anatomically correct.
And somebody said I'm glad you're getting rid of this, and I go, I said, I think Campbell at that point said, no, he already said he's getting rid. He's keeping the bottom part of the model. And then the person goes, get rid of the sexy part of the model or something like that. And Campbell goes, any part of the model is sexy if you're brave enough. And I was like, oh my God, that's a great response. It was really funny. So anyway, second
not wrong.
Second day, then they want me to take the legs of Vashtor and use the top of the other model to make another one. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it just to do it.
I mean that is the perfect Slanesh demon prince right there. It's so top heavy and these skinny little chicken legs. And, that makes sense.
He's so dumb. Okay, all right.
And get like fluffy angel wings on that just to tie it all together there. Yeah. Okay. Day two was me and Dan Osborne pairing up for Adeptus Titanicus doubles.
Nice.
So we started going off campus for a little breakfast, which I think is the only actual breakfast I ate this con. So it was nice to sit down, have a meal, and then go play some games. We played it was only 2 games of Titanicus doubles, which was great because doubles takes a little bit longer, and it's just a nice, fun, good vibes, casual event that these guys run. Our first game was against Dave Gormley and Dave Gormley
Jr. Dave Gormley the greater and Dave Gormley the lesser.
Yes. The greater and lesser, which was a super fun pairing. We had a great game. Me and Dan against the Daves, and had just a super fun game. Smart tactical stuff happened, but then also all the fun things that happen at Titanicus goes with some chain reaction, some wild charges. It was just a really fun game. Second game was against 2 local guys. They're both Milwaukee locals. One of them was kind of new to the game, and these guys were a little bit more reserved. So like we weren't having quite as much fun as Skye and Craig were.
Yeah.
A couple tables over, where they're like 4-way group high fives and cheering and all. And
these
all
guys
the
were a little more
laughter and
serious.
engine kills, bingo. These guys were. They were more reserved. I don't know. It was still a fun game, but it was like I was a little envious of the game that Skye and Craig were playing.
Sure.
But still another fun game. It was interesting because Dan Osborne is a big personality, a lot of character, very
outgoing.
West Coast liberal outgoing, where these guys were a little bit more buttoned up. So it was just an interesting personality. I won't call it a clash, but it was just the juxtaposition was fascinating and very entertaining in and of itself. So we had a really fun game, and that went down. After that wrapped up, that got out fairly early. This was the night that you guys were doing Space Hulk. Which I gave my spot up for so that Caleb could get in there, because talking with him at LVO, he'd never been able to do it.
Both you and I were trying to give Caleb the spot, but I appreciate that you gave yours up so I could play.
Because Chelle was playing Tyranids, so I was like, and you hadn't done the new mission either.
And you knew she was going to gun for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you scared?
I was intimidated. So
everybody rather than was calling her the brood mother.
Yeah.
I'm getting a T-shirt for next year.
There you go.
Yeah, nice. Dig it. Me and Dave Taylor ended up going out to dinner. Had just a really nice meal. Hanging out with him, getting to know him a little bit better.
He's such a nice
good
guy.
Chat.
He's so nice.
He's a wonderful human being. I know. Yeah. And then while you guys were all doing Space Hulk, we decided to grab a table. We took over a Trench Crusade table in the room where you guys were, so we could still be close to the action,
right,
and be part of the family down there. But we played our Combat Patrol game, and we had set up a game last Adepticon. We were going to play a game on Sunday. But Dave was just incredibly fried. They were doing their Tale of Four Warlords thing last year, and they were doing a big team game. That's kind of their finale for that. And I think they were up till 3 a.m. or something that morning.
No thanks.
Finishing that game, because it was like this huge, long game, 4-player game with fully painted large armies that didn't scale down or anything. So anyways, like he was fried. So we ended up not playing, which was, totally fine. So he hit me up a couple months ago at this rate and was like, hey, let's get a game of Combat Patrol in at Adepticon. So I was very, very happy to let Caleb play, and I had a wonderful experience playing Dave. The game was what it was. I'll say
we all know by now Dave got defeated.
Dave was heartily defeated. He had some smart plays. Like he was playing the Imperial Agents Combat Patrol, which is a pretty interesting Combat Patrol. Yeah. It was not a good matchup, which is funny because I reached out to Dave before we played. It's like, because your game with Dave at Nova last year was so one-sided. It's like, hey Dave, I've got these 3 Combat Patrols. Which one do you want to face? Like, I want to give you the best game possible, knowing that you had that terrible game experience with Carl. And he's like, I don't care. Like, pick any of them. Sounds great. And I was like, okay, well, the Eldar are going to be the prettiest. And knowing that it's Dave, like, it's going to be a really good
You got to show
table
up. Yeah.
If I bring the Eldar. So speaking, quick tangent, coming back through security from dinner with Dave, I got flagged. Something in my bag got flagged. So I had to pull the army out. And show it off, and I was like, "Oh, it's probably the army, or it's all the dice in here." And I was like, "I'm sure you've seen a million of these at this rate." But the security, the lady running security is like, "Yeah, but this is the best one I've seen." And I was like, "Oh yes," it's like the unlooked for compliment that
from a
nice little
from a
non-gamer
person.
like Yeah, exactly. It's like, that just like made me smile, and like the fact that Dave Taylor's standing right there.
That's great. That's great.
Like, that's great. Little moral victory. So then I crushed Dave.
I'm beginning. Look at ICs are 2-0 against David.
Maybe I should play him.
You're up next.
It's on Dave.
His dice.
He would probably.
His dice were atrocious. Yeah, he would. Yeah, his dice rolls were atrocious. Like he would give you a run for your money on bad rolls. Like that definitely happened in that game. So the game itself was fairly one-sided, but like we were just having such a fun game around the game, like just the banter, the interaction. People kept coming and joining and like sitting down, and a lot of people were like, "What game is this?" Because we were playing Combat Patrol, which is tiny, but on a Trench Crusade board, which is as far removed as possible as you could get from Match Play 40K for that kind of aesthetic, that look. So it's very like World War I, but 40K.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was actually it was absolutely a just wonderful game experience outside of the game. So it was very, very glad that happened. And then I think we all went over and hung out at the Monarch for a little bit afterwards.
Nice.
Maybe we called it a night. I don't remember. So then Friday was Bushido.
Yeah.
So me and Skye signed up for this, and this is the North America GT for Bushido. So it's kind of like their biggest tournament of the year.
How many people were in
Skye
it?
and I
16.
It was 32 players.
Good size. All right.
Yeah. So Skye and I were both about 3 games in of Bushido as a game,
right?
And so we jump into this kind of like their
biggest tournament,
GT tournament. With 2 or 3 games of experience under our belts, and we're like, okay, whatever. We'll learn some things. We'll get some more reps into the game. And again, we have a couple of local players in Santa Cruz that are very interested in this. So more than anything, we're like, we'll get some experience and we'll help grow our local community. And then had 4 amazing games. I won't go into a bunch of detail on those ones because they're not 40K, but like Skye's first game, he was paired against the guy who ended up winning. So he got crushed by the Grandmaster. His first game was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have fun from here on out. I ended up going 2-0, and then the third game was against a former Grandmaster for me. And the way this game played out, he was like, turn 3 of the game, and he's like, "You've got this game. This game's yours." And it was really interesting to see how 2 dice rolls and his like just a ton of experience, again, former Grandmaster winner of this, were able to get him out, like the problem solving he did to get out of this game, because it was a wild scenario where it's basically 3 scenarios are happening on top of each other. So he like had good experience with that, but he had his warband had a fascinating mechanic where he can actually burn. He can take over my guys for a single activation. Everybody gets 2 activations. Mm-hmm. So he like just barely passed the rolls. We tied the rolls, and he got a tiebreaker on the rolls that allowed him to take over a couple of my models for a single activation, which prevented me from getting into position to doing the scenario objectives. So it was like really smart to just like see how that happened and how it played out. No like bad feeling anyways. So I lost that game, and then the 4th game was let's just run at each other and kill each other, which took about 35 minutes, and it was just super fun. So yeah, 4 really fun games. And as a new player jumping into a tournament, the reason I wanted to talk about this a little bit is with 40K, like if you're 2 games in and you're going into the 40K championship, like I don't know if you're going to have a good time there.
Right.
So it was interesting.
I'm pretty sure
jumping into. Yeah, I mean, you lose your first game maybe, and then hopefully you have like a fun second game as you're in that kind of lower to middle bracket.
Yeah.
And just people having fun at that point. But obviously there's so much to that game and so many factions and things like that with 40K.
Yeah.
Where Bushido's it is a crunchy game, but again, I like. Most players had 6 models on the board, so there's a lot of depth in those 6 models, but there's only 6 models. So,
gotcha.
It's a really different experience. It was just so welcoming. Like 4 really fun games throughout the day in a like, for lack of a better term, their GT tournament, and as a fairly new player, so I more than doubled the amount of games that I have of Bushido under my name. Like learned a bunch. And did pretty well and had 4 really fun games. So that's why I wanted to talk about that. And then Saturday was Shatterpoint. So Shatterpoint Premier is a format where you bring 4 teams of Shatterpoint.
Okay.
4 strike teams. Strike team is 4. Essentially, there's a primary, a secondary, and a support, and then you pair two sets of those to do a strike team. And the format is you have 4 primary characters and you have to play all 4 of them throughout the course of your 4 games, but you can, like, based upon what you see, your opponent has these 4 characters. Okay, maybe I want to choose But you both choose, in secret and then reveal what you're bringing. You don't quite know. It's like a little bit of a sideboard, but not really.
Right.
So anyways, similar thing. I had 3 games of experience of Shatterpoint under my belt at this point, and jumped into the Premiere, which is the GT for this format. It's not the the main format, but
just jump in the deep end right away, like on both of these things. But
my brain gets games. So
yeah, for sure.
And it was interesting. Like I had just a little conversation with each opponent before I started. Like, look, I've got 3 games of this under my belt. I'm pretty new to it, but I've got 35 years of war game experience. So like I understand
the concept,
what I need to do, the mechanics, like that. Like if I make a couple little mistakes, like absolutely,
just point it out.
It's just because I'm brand new. Like. Yeah, if you need to take anything back, whatever, I'm here for fun. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to bring my experience back and help grow the local community.
That's a good way to set the tone too.
These 4 games were incredible, like so fun, such great opponents. Everybody was amazing. Shatterpoint, I'd say more than any other game that I'm actively playing. It's a collaborative effort because of the way terrain is. There's there's a lot of verticality in terrain, and there's a lot of interactions, and measuring can be awkward and sometimes. So, half the time it's like, hey, can you move this for me?
Sure,
like if I mark, can you move
this is what I'm trying to achieve. Can you move this today?
So playing by intention is like a big part of the game, and it's a collaborative effort to make the logistics of that come to life. So super fun experience. I ended up going, 3-0 for my first 3 games. So I won my first 3 games, and then final game.
Hang on, give me my medal. You son of a gun.
Final game. Shatterpoint plays its best out of 3. There's these struggles. So my opponent won the first struggle. I won the second struggle. So we're tied on that, and we're almost out of time. Third struggle comes around. And I realized I'd made a mistake. There's kind of a reactionary movement that I had forgot to do, which left one of my guys out of position. And that was like just my inexperience there. I was like, oh, I totally forgot that happened. And he forgot too. He's like, oh, had I remembered, I absolutely would have like reminded you. Super friendly guy, very collaborative experience. So anyways, I ended up losing game 4 in the final struggle of it. So I finished 3rd place, and the guy I lost to.
That's amazing, dude. Congratulations.
Which was So felt good having a good showing, but also just like 4 incredibly fun games with great opponents. Again, a brand new system that was very new to me. I had 3 games before going to Adepticon. So RAF was game 4, and then 4 games in the Premiere itself, like double the amount of games I had.
Jesus, that's really impressive.
I was truly impressed with the caliber of opponents in a competitive event like that. Again, being newer, but a very experienced wargamer. It was pretty special and something that I wouldn't expect to happen in a 40K environment. Right. Which is the only reason I'm talking about it in so much detail. But it was it felt really special for, again, it's a smaller game. It's not 40K. It's a smaller community. And it was just so much more collaborative for both Bushido and Shatterpoint. So I'm very, very happy with the events that I signed up for. I definitely overstretched myself a little bit though, playing 12 games over the course of 3 days.
You survived. So
I think I've got it. Well, so I played a lot of games at Tacoma last year. I played a lot of games at Adepticon the last 3 years I've been there. This was the first con in a while I haven't lost my voice for, so that was a huge plus of just being able to talk to everybody. There's more moisture in the environment. That made a huge difference. So anyways, in future Adepticons, I think I will definitely scale back the number.
I'll believe that when it happens. Okay, on that note, let's take a short break. We'll come back. We'll get into the main content of the show, which is really about Adepticon, not the games we played, but what the event is like and what we experienced. Then we'll have some interviews with some of our friends that came as well, and see how they did and what they thought of the event. So we will be right back. All right, and we are back to talk now about, this is kind of our Adepticon overview. I mean, earlier we've talked about games we've played, we've talked about all that. But now I wanted to kind of talk more about using this time to just talk about our experience at Adepticon outside of the games themselves. And I'll start, Chelle and I will start kind of with the 40K flex. Josh, earlier you said you couldn't get into it. You could have easily come and got into it. We did sell out of tickets. And we had a huge
I had to make the call there because traveling with 40K would have taken up all the space that I had.
No, you made the right call.
I couldn't get into it.
That being said, we sold out all the events. We had huge wait lists. Like when you're running an event at Adepticon, you go to this thing through Cvent called ORC, which is, I don't remember what the abbreviation is for, but basically you can go and you can say, oh, here's all the people that are playing in the event, and here's all the people in the wait list. And so as people come up and check in, you're checking them off this list, which originally I did from the paper
Physically
that I had. But then what I realized
outdated immediately.
Yeah. Like they would still sell a ticket to somebody, out in the hall. And I'm like, wait a minute.
But I'm sold out with a wait list.
And they'd come walking over with a ticket. I'm like, oh, okay. So I got to figure out a little bit about what's going on there.
Interesting.
But I ended up taking like those lists and importing. I didn't bring my laptop, which number one, should have brought laptop. I was doing it all on an iPad, but like I would just take the lists and paste them into a Google spreadsheet and then be like, okay. And then honestly, I would do the pairings from that as well, because I wasn't in Longshanks, which is the app that they wanted to use, and they just didn't get it ready in time for us.
Next year.
The concept of the 40K Flex was a very casual game experience. I was explaining it to people as it's like Garage Hammer, but at a convention.
Organized.
It's organized free play. In essence, it was playing the way you and I play this game. Sometimes we use the cards. Sometimes we use a mission. Whatever. We set up the table full of terrain. We come in and we have a thematic experience. I wouldn't call it narrative because it's not. All of our games are not necessarily narrative, although we'll be like, we're fighting whatever. But they are
casual.
The terrain is not ITC terrain. There's a theme
narrative
to the
tables.
There's a theme to what we're doing.
Theme. That's a good way to put it.
So that was kind of our objective there, setting the tone for that. We get there on the first day, and everything had been kind of set up already. Like people had come in and set stuff up. But as I'm looking at the tables, I'm like, these are really
on Wednesday night.
Yeah, these are really light on terrain.
Yeah.
Like now,
they're sparse.
Now, what has occurred here is since Games Workshop has moved to the ITC format for the GT, all the terrain, some that I helped paint up, but mostly, by the larger spray team over the years, is no longer usable in these events. So we have at Adepticon tons of Games Workshop terrain and other stuff that it can't be used in the GW event anymore.
It's not tournament compatible anymore.
Right.
And it's all beautiful.
And it's gorgeous, like stunningly gorgeous. Yeah. So we're kind of standing around going, okay, well, let's make the best of this. And there's some tubs under tables and we're pulling pieces out of there. And I'm a little disappointed. But then Hank goes walking by. Hank Edley runs, he and Matt kind of spearhead Adepticon. There's a huge team of people, but they're really kind of the faces of it. And Hank goes, hey, Carl, how's it going? You got everything you need? I go, Hank, actually, I could use more terrain. And he points over to the wall and he goes, behind those curtains over there, he goes, there's like 100 crates of terrain. He goes, you take as much as you want. And we were like, oh, really? And oh my God, like we barely scratched the surface. And we had 32 tables.
Yeah,
32. 64 players, 32 tables. We were told to leave table 1 empty because Dwarven Forge was going to come.
They were sponsoring the event, so they were going to put their terrain.
Their
on that
showcase
table.
Terrain on that table. We'll come to that in a minute. And so we went and grabbed a bunch of barrels or buckets, and I think Cheyenne and Campos had come over.
I don't remember who was with us.
There was a bunch of people with us, but Chelle started kind of like organizing each table, like theming each table. Like, okay, this one's going to be like this, and this one's going to be like that, and they looked good. By the time we were done, you did a great job.
Thank you.
The tables were exactly the stuff we would love to play on.
That was a lot of fun setting him up. Like I set up the
were
Tau
you there?
tables, and that that terrain was
Tau
incredible,
terrain.
and like
Whoa.
those tables it had so much presence, and just huge buildings, and the
was
paint
so
job
good.
was phenomenal. But the theme was like so cool on that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun just setting him up and like putting a little theme to each table.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So by the time we were done setting that up, like I felt like these are
this
tables
is where
I would
I wanna
want to
be.
play
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah.
And as I've said in the previous show, I have a definite bent towards not ITC layout. Understand why it's there. We don't need to rehash that whole discussion. I understand why it's the way it is, blah, blah, blah. This is not how we play. And this is not the experience that the 40K Flex is about.
Right.
40K Flex is one, let's use all this terrain we have. It's still playable in 40K games. And two, let's make an event that people want to come to that don't want the pressure of that GT and just want to have fun. So I paired up everybody the night before, understanding like, here's how I'm going to kind of pair them up. But then I was like, I was a little anxious about it. I had a couple nightmares that night. I had one nightmare where one guy, I'm doing the briefing and one guy just keeps talking through me and like just being incredibly disrespectful. And finally I'm just like, you need to leave. I don't even know if I can do that as a tournament organizer. But I was like, oh my God, what if somebody's like this? Turned out not everybody was wonderful.
No, just the guy announcing.
Just one guy.
The GT. No, just the guy announcing the GT rules.
Oh, yeah.
He was the only one talking over you.
Over the announcer.
Loudspeaker kicking in. Yeah.
So we got to bring a speaker thing.
Yeah.
And then the other one I had was we were all playing on the benches at the school Chelle teaches at. We were playing on the yard out in the benches. It started raining, and I'm like, oh my God, everybody's models. I was like, I don't know why I was having these dreams, but
pre-event panic dreams.
I just was,
and I'm naked.
Yeah, I was just really concerned. You should be so lucky. I was just really concerned that people were going to have a good time. Like I really wanted this to be a success. It was Hank's idea. He picked me to execute on it because he knew I had the right attitude about it. So we executed on it. First day pairings took a while because again, I didn't have Longshanks. And here's the other thing I really wanted to do was I would ask people as they come up, hey, do you lean more competitive or do you lean more casual? And if they said, I lean more competitive, or I brought kind of a hard list, I'd be like, cool, you're in this category. And I would pair those people up against each other so they had a good experience they were looking for. And everybody else got paired up
really
against
smart.
each other. It worked. That piece of it
was
worked
important.
really well. Yeah.
That was an important piece that worked out very well, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. The one complaint I did hear was, hey, you should get some software for setting up the pairings. I'm like, yes, I know. I know.
It'll be there next year. Longshanks it's a pretty good system, and I hope there's a way in there that you can filter.
There is like they were
harder game or cool.
Hank was already putting me in touch with somebody to help with that. So that'll help.
Sweet.
Alleviate a ton of time.
A lot.
Like here's your pairings, read them off, go to it. The other concern is if somebody drops, now I have an odd number of players.
That happened in every single round. That happened.
Yeah. Fortunately, in most rounds,
worked out well.
Somebody had come up and said, hey, I'd like to join. And we were like, I say, hey, you know what? Come back at 9. There may be an opening, and so a couple times I was able to squeak somebody in. And they were like, oh, should I go buy a ticket? And to be honest, I was like, you know what? Just go play the game. Like, don't.
Some of them
already
got
paid for
tickets
that
and some of
ticket.
them didn't.
Yeah, you're helping me out at this point, right?
If it was going to be both rounds, we were
going to be in trouble. Or if that guy was going to play both rounds.
Both rounds, we were like, yes, please go get a ticket. If it was
Right.
covering one round, then we were a little
because they're helping us as well. We didn't have, I was the only ringer. Everybody else was kind of off doing other stuff. So next year, need ringers. The crowd was amazing.
Nice.
I got up on top of a dangerous chair and almost killed myself at one point. But kind of set the tone at the beginning. This is what you guys are here for. This is what we want to provide. If you're not having a good time, all we care about is that you're having a good time. You don't need to turn in scores. You don't need to tell me who won or who lost. Don't care. Every game you play, you get entered into a drawing for prizes because we had prize support. And then we also had medals. And we had medals for best painted. And I got to pick what the medals were, by the way, name them well ahead.
We chose them,
nice.
couple months ahead.
Best painted, best chaos theme, best imperial theme, best Xenos theme, and best sportsman. because those were the things that are important.
Great medals. Yeah, exactly.
And because you came up
How'd
with
you do sportsman?
Yeah, you came up with a great idea, Josh. And Blake.
Oh, you did that. Cool.
Yeah, and Blake, by the way, thought it was fantastic. Like from an education standpoint, he was telling me kind of like the psychology behind what it did. So what we did, Chelle.
Blake said you're a smart guy, Josh.
Yeah, he did. So what we did was because they only played 2 games and some people only played 1 game. Very hard to get like a litmus test of who was the best, the best opponent. We had these medals for each day. So basically, we said, okay, who here just played the best game of 40K they've ever played, and you're going to tell me why your opponent was the best opponent to play against. And we got more hands raised than I expected. Like at one point, the last one, everybody raised. I'm like, okay, guys, really, the best game of 40K. And then a bunch of hands went down. I'm like, okay. And so then we would have them kind of point out their opponent and say, this is what happened in this game. And this is why this guy is such a great guy to play against, or this gal is such a great gal to play against.
Why they made the game amazing for me.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so then we would listen to 3 or 4 people. Chelle and I would kind of turn our backs. If we had a third person there, we'd have that person. I think at one point we had Anthony. And we were like, okay, who do we think gets it? And it was like, and in one case, it was like so evidently clear.
Yeah.
Like the guy was like, oh, he let me reroll a 1. I spent a command point to reroll a 1. I rerolled a 1 again. He let me reroll that. And I rerolled a 1 again. He's like, just take your command point back, and we're like, that's great.
That's a great, yeah.
And then other people had jumped in and said, oh yeah, that guy was amazing. Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
We also kind of considered the fact that we did walk around and listen to people playing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like there was a table that was just laughing the whole time.
Oh,
and
those
then
guys were great.
And then when one of them nominated the other, we were like, yeah, remember they were laughing and cracking up.
Of
course, that's a good
those
choice.
guys have fun. Yeah,
it was a combination of them saying this was the best game for me, but also what we experienced.
Yeah.
And the reason I proposed that is like, because clearly you had to have fun in a game to do that. But then if you're willing to advocate for somebody and why that game was so fun in front of a crowd like that, like you really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, but
like,
not only that,
if you have to make a case for it.
And this was the point Blake brought up. And this was I'm so glad we did it this way, Josh. Because what Blake said was, well, not only that, you're building a relationship. You're building a relationship between those 2 people because now one person is really complimenting the other person and that person's saying, oh yeah. And then the people around them are seeing, hey, this is the camaraderie that is being built at the event.
Yeah.
Look at how wonderful that is. Right. It was this was part of the discussion I had with Blake over a long period of time. And it was like, oh, this 100%. Is really, really interesting.
And that's why I was so jealous of the Titanicus games that Skye and Craig were having. It's like those guys were like, again, group high fives, laughter, like everybody was cheering every engine kill, friend or foe was celebrated that way. And just like those guys are friends. Like Skye remembers their names. He's going to mention their names in an interview later. Like those guys are in. If they see each other next year, they're like, this is happening, or like the camaraderie, that relationship is established and will carry through, it's fantastic. And that shows other people like this is how the game should or could be
played. I don't want to say should, because we're playing 2 different games with the same rule set. But it is a way to play the game that I think builds
fun first
friendships and not that the other way doesn't. It's just it's less intense. So what else? We walked around. We evaluated armies for painting. We had other people usually come and also pick out painting. Sometimes it's really obvious. Sometimes there's a distinction between 2. Campbell was there. We know Campbell, but like everybody kind of agreed, Campbell's Black Templars are best painted. But who was he playing that had the
Craig
Sniffen had the Rainbow Warriors, and they were like, it was between the 2 of them, and so one got best theme and the other one got best painted. It could have honestly probably gone either way. The best theme kind of came not just from, hey, my paint skill's really great. In some cases, maybe it's not the greatest, but you came with a thematic looking
Came with the story
representative list.
Yeah,
for that armor.
Cool
yeah.
bases, tells the story at a quick glance.
Maybe even
tied
you came
together.
dressed
It's
up. You know,
the rug that tied the room together.
yeah. The one player we did pick in advance for best sportsmanship was Alexandria. She was she had played all 3 days up to that point. She came in costume the last day
On Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, but
Nice.
everybody kept asking to play her. Like they were seeing that the people she was playing were having a good time, and her army was IG. It was really representative, and it was just like everybody was asking to play her, and we were like, yeah, clearly she has set a tone here that we like.
There's something there. Yeah, right.
And then I think, Dave Gormley the Greater won something. Dave Gormley the Lesser won something. Like a bunch of people won. It was great to like give away prizes.
It was fun to have so many categories to give awards in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Each day.
So that lots of people could get
Something. Yeah. And
It was 6 awards over 4 days each. 24 awards.
I think it was 5.
5 awards each day.
5 awards
So
a day,
still 20,
and then the
but-
raffle on top of that.
Yeah, and then the raffle for prize support.
Right. Yeah.
And 2 of those
That's
days,
fantastic.
2 of those days were full army boxes, and then a combat patrol, and then like lesser stuff. I think next year we're gonna do a lot more lesser things.
Yeah.
Like
more prizes
Sure, yeah,
for
yeah.
less value.
yeah.
More participation prizes.
Yeah, and at one point I announced the wrong person for winning an army box.
Yeah.
And I was like, I realized, oh my God, wait, you didn't win the army box. And I felt so bad. And they're like, oh, but they actually weren't upset about it. And then I gave the army box to the right person. But then I immediately said, oh, but you've won.
Right. He was on the list for something
I think
else.
you'd won best painted.
Best painted.
And
He
I was
did.
like, no, but you've.
It was
Yeah,
Chris.
It was
Chris-
best sportsman.
No, it was Chris Box.
Oh, you're right. It was Chris. It was best painted.
It was best painted.
And I was like, no, but you've won. Like, I immediately jumped from those prizes to the medals because I was like, I don't want you to sit
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
He was looking at the medal list and giving away the prizes.
I felt awful.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
names, he just was, yeah.
So what I would say,
Crust in the old brain.
you've never run anything like this. I've run events, but not in a long time, and I've run events at home. Like, what are your kind of takeaways from this show, from running it? Because we ran it all 4 days, and you sat there with me the whole time.
I absolutely loved watching people have fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
I agree.
Like
with that.
that filled my bucket so
Yeah.
big. Just experiencing people having a good time.
Yeah.
Experiencing their conversations and I can't pinpoint any conversation that was like, oh, that was really cool, but
Right.
just the energy around it and just
The atmosphere.
seeing
Yeah.
so many different people and personalities come together
Mm-hmm.
and just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
So many different walks of life. It really felt like the things we do here at the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I really,
Yeah.
and I love having everybody over here and having everybody play games. I have from the very beginning of Carl doing these.
Yep.
It's just, it fills some satisfaction in me to have happy
People
people
around.
around me. And
Yeah,
it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, energy vampire off of their positivity and happiness and good time. And it was just,
Fun's contagious.
it
Yeah.
was that in a bigger scale.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
people, like, I got so many people saying this was exactly the right kind of event for me. Like,
Nice,
as
yeah.
people would come up and they'd say, oh, well, I've only
Played a couple games. I
Yeah.
haven't
5
played in
games or so.
years.
And, I haven't, I'm definitely not in the competitive category. I was like, you have come to the right place, Yeah. I'd love to pair.
So whether they're listeners or not, they, got to be a part of the community.
yeah, we
I
probably
would
gained
say-
a few
To be a
listeners
part
too.
of.
I would say
Yeah.
25% were listeners.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a
Yeah.
huge number,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But the
there were
write-up caught
definitely
a lot of people.
out of 64 people, 25% were probably listeners, and that's why they were there.
Yeah.
So we knew
that's,
they
that's
had the
actually
right
surprising,
energy.
but fantastic.
But
yeah.
there's so many other people out there that love playing the game this way.
Yes.
Yep.
And that is the point I wanted to make, was the appetite for this style of play is there, and it's not being fed. And so to that point, a few
I was number 30 on the wait list. I understand.
a few Games Workshop folks came by and were watching the event. These were people, that are high up
That
in
have
GW
sway.
that have sway. And they came by, and I walked over because I know some of them, and I was like, "Hey, guys, what's going on?" And reacquainted myself. And then they said, "What event is this?" I said, "This is the 40K Flex." And then I explained kind of the meaning behind it and why we were doing it.
Hank.
And one of them was like, "This is how we play at my house." And I'm like, yes, this is how we play at my house as well. And they were like, we need to support this more, right? Like they saw, and I said, it's sold out. Yeah. The appetite is there.
Yeah.
So I mean, that message got through to them. I think they know, and it's not going to happen overnight, but I think they saw how much fun people were having in it. A lot of us play the same. And then the other thing I was going to mention was the setup from Dwarven Forge. I mean,
it
was beautiful terrain.
Absolutely stunning. It was very creative.
Was it playable?
No.
It wasn't 40K playable.
No, not at all.
But
right.
with a few buildings from the stuff we had, it was.
We made it playable.
Right.
Honestly, what I did was not seat anybody at that table. I mean, as it just wasn't like, had they come and talked to me, I could have said, "Here's what we need." But nobody talked to me. We just turned around and we were like, "Oh, it's set up. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not usable. Cool." Well, we just won't put anybody on because you had enough people drop each
Looks
round.
cool for a different game. Yeah.
I'm with you though, Chelle. Like, I did not want to spend all 4 days running an event, but by the time we were in it, I did not mind spending all 4 days.
I do want to next year.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Nice. Yeah.
We've
Did
already
not
made.
detract from your con experience.
It didn't.
Especially
It
ending at
enhanced
4,
it.
right? So you still had a lot of time to socialize and not be event organizers.
And Blake said when we talked to him, he knew we would be there. And so when he had downtime, he came out and sat and had great conversations. And Anthony, who, has moved off to Texas and I haven't seen him in years, he and his son Isaac came and hung out with us and just had some absolutely amazing conversations and spending time. So I did what I wanted to do going to Adepticon. It was just in a different scenario.
And also listeners would come up.
Yeah. And it was just, we were in a central location where the people we wanted to spend time with knew we were going to be there and so could find us. Mm-hmm. And so we got to spend great, listeners came by and we got to have great conversations with them when we weren't actively engaging in the event, because a lot of that time was, people playing games, and we would just kind of cruise around once we'd made our decisions on things. And
I will say, people walked by and looked at the tables and were like, "Oh, whoa, these tables!" Like I heard many times, these tables look great. Like,
oh my gosh, we had the greatest conversation with one of the event guys who pushed the cart around and was selling drinks.
One of the vendor guys.
He was from Mexico, and he came over, and he started talking to us about what was going on and that table and these games, and it was so fascinating. His whole you guys are really having fun over here, and this is really cool, and it was fun.
So
that's your equivalent of the painting compliment from security to oh, you guys are having the most fun over here.
Right.
That's fantastic. And it was recognized. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So it was very successful. It was very successful. We saw dwindling participation on Sunday, as people are exhausted and winding down and whatnot. We had openings every day, even though it sold out, and we had waitlisted people. It's just the nature of the beast. Like, some people don't show up or people would drop, but I mean, the flexible nature of the 40K Flex allowed for, oh, you just want to play one game? Okay, just play one game. And by the way, you're entered in the drawing to win some. Come back at 4 because we're going to give away stuff. And we only had one case where I called a name and the person wasn't there. Yeah. And I was like, I kept calling the name and I'm like, all right, well, we'll move on to the next person.
Next.
So it was great. I'm really glad we did it. And I'm glad you were there with me, Chelle, because you really, you walked around, we'd give people, I'd say, hey, can you talk to that half, tell them 30 minutes left. I'd talk to the other half, tell them 30 minutes left.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, we only had one bad experience with one player who just,
to be fair, I may have teased him a little bit, as I was speaking to the crowd, and maybe that set the wrong tone with him. But I was kind of teasing everybody in the crowd, like especially when I'd mispronounce people's names, which was, I kept apologizing. But like I would kind of tease everybody. But I think he maybe took it a little personally. But also when I pointed out to the judge that came by at one point, hey, how's it going? I go, well, we've only had one problem with that guy over there. He's kind of a jerk, and I mean, that happens. You get this many people together. There's always somebody that isn't on board. He was like, oh, that guy was in the GT yesterday, called me over to adjudicate on something, and he was not happy with the decision I made. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he's just that way. Like I take a little less responsibility for that, but I had later gone over to him and was like trying to kill him with kindness and be like, hey, I hope you guys are having a good time and blah, blah, blah. But he wasn't having it. So that's all right. No skin off my back. 99.9% of the
salty
people
from losing the GT.
He was in the wrong place.
Right.
He was in the wrong place.
We were not his vibe.
Yep.
No.
Right.
I think he only played that one game. Maybe. Yeah. So that's fine. No problem. The rest of the people had a great time. I'd encourage people, if you're looking for casual games that are just fun and you're hanging out and laughing, like we'll put you in. One of my favorite pictures of the event I took of a kid named Matthias that came out. His dad had kind of come out in advance of him, scoping it out. Hey, how does he register? Blah, blah, blah. I think he was a little concerned about him. He was kind of insular initially. You just saw him really come out of his shell. And then he won Best Themed Chaos.
Yeah, his chaos
theme and was gorgeous.
So cool.
Nice.
And he was so excited. And then the last day I was like, I'm going to put him against Dave Gormley, the grader. And I have this picture of him smiling and he and Dave playing. And I was just like, this is perfect.
Nice.
So, okay.
Dave in full War Boss regalia, of course.
So that's enough about the 40K Flex. It's great. It's going to be back next year. I think it's going to be bigger and better. We've already got a lot of ideas. Okay. The vendor hall. Let's talk about this vendor hall. We've talked a little bit about it. Well, we'll talk a little bit about it in the upcoming interviews. But Chelle, what did you think about the vendor hall this year?
It's great. I mean,
well, moving on to purchase.
A vendor hall's a vendor hall, right?
To you. Yeah. We did do like 3 or 4 trips through it.
We did. It was, I couldn't tell you if there was more vendors there than there were the year before or the year before. I couldn't tell you if it was more crowded or less crowded. Like,
this is the experience of somebody that's not used to it. Yeah. Fair enough. I think it was
comfortable. It wasn't
as crowded as it has been. Like the aisles were a little bit bigger.
I felt like I wasn't jostled left and right as I went through things. You get into a certain vendor space, and if it was crowded, it was jostly. But that's I mean, that's the nature of shopping in
any busy store. Yeah.
Right. And it's no different than going to the Ren Fair. Like your vendors are vendors, right?
Yeah. A couple things to call out for me. Goblin Gaming, which is Brent and his buddy Casey, that are producing the plates and this is where we're going to hit up your
stamps,
your nail salon gal for different colors, the plates and stamps thing. Like, they sold out of their starter sets. I'm so excited for them and their product. Like, I wish I thought of it, because it's a brilliant idea. I know I recognize what it is and what they're taking, but turning it to gaming, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. Right.
It is. And I will tell you, they've sent us like the whole starter set and all the plates and stuff. It is incredibly high quality. Like, it's a great product, and we haven't used it yet.
That's good to hear.
It's fantastic. We haven't used it yet here, but I've seen it being used there. It was impressive.
But over and over again, people were talking to us about it.
Yeah.
Like, not even knowing that we knew about it. They were coming over and like telling us about it. And
it was pretty awesome. So and they were busy the entire time. Like, every time we walked over there, they had people in front of them. So I'm very excited for both of them. Congratulations to those guys for coming up with a great idea and executing on it. There were a lot of 3D printed things, like 3D printed terrain,
absolutely.
3D printed STL files, 3D printed models, a whole bunch. So we're definitely in that age.
Especially in indie gaming, it's being embraced big time. Big model companies obviously are going to be more hesitant to, but there's so many rule sets out there that are just STLs, like Arsenal, great example. STLs at a PDF rulebook or a physical copy rulebook, but print it out, have fun.
Well, listen, I mean, I as far as 3D print, like I have actually heard of one of the bigger companies that has released their STLs trying to figure out how they could claw them back. And their lawyers were like,
oh, interesting.
Yeah. And their lawyers were like,
Nope.
you cannot do this. Like, that's it. You've done it. It's out there. Out's out. Not only that, imagine the negative press that would generate. Like,
right. Yeah.
So I've intentionally not said the name because I don't think it deserves it. But I mean, everybody's looking for how do I make money? And I understand the question, but not a good choice. So, we got to see Mini Wargaming Dave. I got to see Adam there in the vendor hall.
Mm-hmm.
I got a picture with the both of them because they were just on the show, which was kind of fun to reunite the three of us.
Yeah.
And then and we saw Dave's wife, Hannah.
You know what I felt like was a little bit missing?
Or Farrah, not Hannah.
Farrah.
Yeah.
As I'm thinking about it in the booth, there weren't as many board games.
No.
As I've seen in past years.
No. Last year there were more board games.
Yeah.
Being demoed.
I only saw 2 that come to mind. Board games.
The one of them I have to have, and I would have bought it there, but they were sold out.
Yeah, there was a game.
Necro Molds.
Necro Molds. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Play-Doh and the squishing. Yeah, I was
use the mold,
enamored.
which looked like a little spell book, and you'd put the Play-Doh in it, press it together, you'd pull the guy out.
Create a monster.
And then you'd have a monster, and you could stick swords in them
when
as they took wounds.
You smash it.
With
That's
a
right.
thing, yeah.
It was great. Like kids would love it.
Yeah,
I would
That
love
was
it.
the
fantastic.
only.
Exactly.
Were there any other board games?
Not really. Last year we bought Shovel Knight because we played
Shovel
the demo.
Knight and Gloomhaven. And
Yeah, that's true.
There was one other. I don't remember the name of it. It gave me the Shovel Knight vibe, but it was not Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
It was definitely miniatures focused.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I would say it was interesting that the vendor hall this time, I didn't see any demo games happening there. And I think that's because there was so much space.
There were.
in
I
the
saw
rest
some.
of the venue.
Yeah.
I saw some.
They're definitely
Some spots that have had demo games in the past didn't have any. So
Yeah.
maybe that's what
You noticed, yeah.
called out to me. But there was a lot of people that had like a whole dedicated day of demo games, like learn to play games and demo games that they just took a room over somewhere because they had the space.
That's
so they
true.
weren't crowding their booth with that.
That's true,
They weren't
too.
getting as much like traction and maybe like, oh, I just played this demo game. I'm going to buy it right here because I'm in the booth with all the product. But they had space to get a lot more people in at the same time. So I'm sure, the conversion probably worked out for them.
Yeah, that's true.
It was just something that I noticed. I saw fewer demo games in booths.
That's a good point. They had the room to spread out to other locations and point.
Yeah.
I said earlier, I didn't feel the need to purchase anything. Like I was not.
Yeah.
As I walked around, the one thing we were looking for were some wound token counters for your stuff, and they didn't have the selection that we were looking for. We'll we'll look online and find it later, But I got out light. I got out with only the Mechanitrix model from
The Arsenal.
from Creature Caster and the rules for Arsenal. So. I think about $130, $140 I spent.
The 3 things that I brought home were either prizes or given to me. So I got out without.
And I
bought a lot of food, but
yeah. And I did bring home a Skaven
didn't have to
Tide
drop
box.
money.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
which I want for the rats
little guy.
for Mordheim, which
I just brought home whiskey.
Yes.
you just brought home whiskey.
I just brought home whiskey.
Hey, give me my whiskey.
We might,
I got my
I'm coming
whiskey
over.
too.
she might drink it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, we're having a party.
Anthony brought me some too.
The other things I saw
Nice.
that I was drawn to and definitely want to get involved in were Mordheim.
Yeah.
And there was a guy running a very unique Shadows of Brimstone scenario, which I thought was really
Back
cool.
in.
Matt felt like he was maybe a little too ambitious. Matt was playing in it, Matt Weeks. He felt like it was maybe a little too ambitious on some of the things, but like conceptually it was awesome. And like he was all in, afterwards you can always be like the backseat driver and be like, you should have maybe done this, but better for next time. Cause the guy's sets and stuff were incredible. But now all of a sudden everybody wants to play Shadows of Brimstone. Like Blake went and bought something. And so we're like going to set up a Shadows of Brimstone game here, game day or something.
Sucked me back into it. We haven't played it in so long.
We haven't played in a long time. And Mordheim, if I didn't mention it before, Mordheim, I've wanted to play for a long time. They had some beautiful sets there that just really blew.
Those tables they have are incredible. And yeah, with 3D printing and files out there, like it is the
easier
perfect
than ever to
play
make a
that
table
game.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else strike you as like super exciting to look at? I mean, the Space Hulk thing got us, I think, invigorated to
Get that going again.
Yeah.
Which I knew it was going to do before
you
we
played.
even went.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Josh, whatever.
Pull it out.
What else
dust it
struck your fancy there?
Vendor hall wise, there was some really cool displays,
at
some gorgeous
the
minis.
event. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just general kind of Adepticon vibes was it was neat how big it was and how everything had space, but I'll say it being that much more spread out was a little bit harder to run into things or just kind of randomly wander and like, oh, let's find this. Like I did a good amount of walking around. I was obviously in a lot of events also. But I feel like you had fewer of those kind of social encounters as you're going from A to B, or somebody like wandering up to your table and coming to find you. I was like, so that just because of the nature, everything was more spread out and less centralized.
Yeah.
Because there is more space. Pros and cons of that, right? Like I overbooked, so I had less social time, so I missed that kind of at the table social time of friends wandering up.
Yeah.
But I'll say like the first day, the Wednesday afternoon, boots on the ground, you were in the flex and I was trying to find you. And I had no idea, like first time in the building was a little bit of a maze, but figured it out pretty quickly, just wandering around and getting lost.
Yeah.
But while I was trying to find you, setting up for the flex, I ended up going up all the way up to the balcony, and it was the content creator meet and greet. So like the first two people
nobody
that
told
I
me
see
about.
at Adepticon,
I think somebody had mentioned it to me, and I'm like, I'm busy now. You know.
You actually have to sign up for it.
Yeah.
You have to sign up for it, which is it's less of an invite thing, but yeah. So I wandered up there. Like the first two people I see at Adepticon are Phil, the Glacial Geek, and Jake Oz of Build Paint and Play. So it's like, oh, just like the random wandering trying to find you. It's like I run into two people that I are they're friends of mine, and then like Dave joins us right after that. So it's like we've got a bunch of people right there, and then got out of that and then came and saw you guys and helped set up the train for the flex, and AJ was there and some other people, like the groups kept kind of coming and going. And I'll say some of the best time, this is less Adepticon specific related, but I don't have a highlight from this trip because everything I did was a highlight. Like it was all hitting at that level.
That's a good way of
all the meals that we had, whether it was a big group, like like from big to small, whether it was dinner with Dave, breakfast with Dan, or 15 of us going to barbecue and they don't have any barbecue left in the
that was
restaurant.
terrible.
Like, it was still like an experience. It wasn't the meal, but it was the friends that were there. A couple of us, it was me and Travis, his wife Cheyenne, Tom, Campos, Aaron, and Steve went to that kind of like steak and seafood spot, and we just had like this amazing meal together. It was the food was really good. They didn't run out of anything. The service was incredible. Some of the best service I've had in my life. I got scallops, and it was actually the best. Scallops
we heard the scallops.
We heard the scallops story.
Campos conned me out of a scallop for a third of his steak, and it's like, let me try the scallop before I make that deal. And he's like, I'm already cutting the steak. It's done. So
you said it was the best scallop you've ever eaten.
It was the best scallop I've ever had. So yeah, but like,
was that at the
we were all
Chop
just
House
laughing, having a great time.
No, it wasn't the Chop House.
No,
they went to place else.
It was in the Hilton. I think it was the Chop House.
Was it inside?
I thought so. Yeah, downstairs.
Yeah.
That place was pretty good.
It's across from the pub.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
really good food.
I didn't
great
realize
service.
that was.
And it was 8 of us at the table, and we were just laughing our asses off the whole time, having a great time. And every meal felt like that. Like the Irish pub spot was a different experience.
I was going to bring that up
again. Ran out of.
What was the name of it? Do we remember?
Let me talk about the 3rd Street Market first, and then I think it was Moe's.
Right. I think it was Moe's. We got two do not go tos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll give them another chance next year.
not Moe's.
every time I needed a meal, just because again I was overbooked with events. Every time I needed a meal, I would run into a friend and like join them for a meal. So that was amazing. That even as big and spread out as the event was, I had a 2-hour break in between Bushido they gave us like a 2-hour lunch break. So as soon as I walk out the door, the entire Basement of Death crew is heading over to 3rd Street Market. Awesome. So I join all them, and we all have, sit down we all get our various foods and sit down at the bar and enjoy a nice meal together. Awesome. And in between Shatterpoint, I had 30 minutes. I went to one of the food vendors in just outside the main hall there, and Craig and Skye are 2 people in front of me in that line. We find a little like secret spot to sit down and have a nice meal together. So like it was really nice. Still running into people. I think some of that was just lucky on timing and right place, right time.
Same thing happened to us. We went to the 3rd Street Market. We ran into Jake and Alan, and it was like I'd never met Alan before. He's an artist. He was a fantastically wonderful guy, but Jake and Alan and Chelle and I sat down and ate, and Chelle ordered a
We've got so many
stick.
Friends that are there now. But you did it. The 1.5 pounds of fried cheese.
She said it was terrible.
I was like, I couldn't do that to my body. We have so many friends there now that even though the venue is so huge and spread out, and there's like 12,000 people there,
you just stumble across.
You still stumble across a bunch of people that which is fantastic, and go have a nice shared experience. The only critique that I would have, and then I'll let you get to the restaurants, the no-goes, is on site, I did not find a great breakfast option because I had morning commitments with events.
Agreed.
I did not find like good breakfast on site ready to go. I had a pretzel for breakfast one morning.
Me too.
That was open. I was like, okay, like I guess I need to eat something, and this will like carry me through till lunch. But that was literally the only option.
I mean, there was a Starbucks there, and it was like, okay, it's Starbucks.
I get Starbucks.
And then there was the Hilton breakfast. It wasn't very. It was fine. But it's overpriced for what you were getting, and it was okay. Yeah. Although we did meet Tariq there.
We did.
At Tariq was so one of the nicest guys.
Our first
He's a
breakfast
listener
that morning
of the show, and was just the nicest darn guy. And he played in the Flex too.
We accidentally gave him an award later.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, because we did, and she's not kidding. We awarded an army the best themed Imperial army. And then he goes, wait, did you? And it was like
we thought it was someone else. His opponents.
Yeah. He was playing his opponent, which was I think a friend of his.
Yeah.
But it was a homemade chapter, and we had the name of the chapter, and we're like, it's this chapter of Marines for best Imperial. He goes, for so-and-so. And then Tariq goes, wait, did you say this is the name of the chapter? I go, yeah. And he goes, that's my army. We go, oh, well, then you're the winner. I forgot about that. That was funny.
Clearly, that was the best sportsmanship award in disguise because they had so much fun. You couldn't even tell whose army was whose.
Exactly.
Like, people were so excited for people to get awards and stuff.
That's wonderful.
So, the only critique on restaurants I would have was Moe's, which is an Irish pub. Chelle and I like Irish pubs in general. And then we saw this one coming in. We're like, oh, maybe we should go there. So we were like, hey, let's go there. Nope, don't go there. The worst service I've ever had in a restaurant, and the food was okay, but like the service was so bad.
The wings were good.
The wings were so good. My meal was not a bit like.
Yeah, you never got your meal.
I didn't get a meal. So I ate wings from Josh's table.
At one point, our waiter was off in the corner dancing. Like I swear he was stoned. It's just. I was like, his coworkers must hate him because they have to keep coming over to help us. It was a disaster.
When the second wait staff had to come and retake our order,
I knew we were in trouble.
Knew we were in trouble.
Yeah. Terrible.
You guys had all eaten, and they hadn't even taken our order yet.
Yeah.
And you already had food, and we're in process of eating. We're like, oh, okay.
It was awful. And then the barbecue place across the street. Now, to be fair, I would probably give them another try, but the night we went, they ran out of everything, and then the food I did have, I was not impressed with. And I can't eat a lot of pork, so I get migraines from it. But so, I mean, the pork that was available, I'm like, I can't eat that. But like, there was no brisket, there was no chicken, there was no, and then I ordered something, and it wasn't until everybody's food came out that they're like, oh, we're out of this. And I'm like, okay, so now
Everybody else is already eating, and I got to start from
Right.
scratch.
Yeah.
From the things you don't have.
Right. How about you tell me what you do have? I mean, the list was literally so long that it was like, why don't you tell me what you do have and I'll pick from that. It
Tell
was,
me
and,
what's left.
and I'm
Yeah.
not even exaggerating. Like it was.
I think we
They weren't
definitely
ready.
ate Milwaukee out of food. Yeah,
At least
growing
Wednesday.
pains for the
That was night one.
yeah,
Which is probably
yeah,
why.
right.
That being
And like
said,
growing pains for a new event in that spot, but that's not a critique on the event itself. That's
that's just the
everybody else
surrounding
not
area.
being
But
prepared.
here's
but I think that'll be lessons learned, and I have a feeling in future years it's going to be a lot better.
here's what I'll say about Milwaukee though. That town has a lot of charm. Like a lot more than I expected to get out. Like I'm used to Schaumburg, which quite frankly has no charm.
Has personality of a wet piece of paper.
No offense to anybody that lives in Schaumburg, but it's like a suburb area. It's like there's okay, whatever, you know. But Milwaukee downtown, like when it got announced, and so many people were like saying, "Oh, this is in a bad part of town," and this is that. Like I found it to be anything but. I found it to be absolutely wonderful. As much as I complain about those two restaurants, there's 100 other restaurants around the area. People had a great time. I never went to the German restaurant.
And the other restaurant, the Italian place.
Oh, the
we went
Italian
to
food was fantastic.
amazing. The breakfast place we went to,
And
up
the
street,
people were so friendly for the most part. I mean, you know, you're always going to run into somebody, but like the people were friendly. It was a great
it was
town.
clean.
It was clean. Yeah. I absolutely enjoyed it. I would go back to Milwaukee, you know, in a heartbeat, just to check it out.
It's
It
cool
was
seeing all the brick buildings, something we just don't
Yeah.
have in California.
No, 'cause of
Lots
earthquakes.
personality. Yeah, I had a
but
the one thing I did not make it to Portillo's,
Nor did I.
which is disappointing because that is a staple of Adepticon,
yeah, we'll
or
go
has
next
been in.
Is there a
Schaumburg, but,
Portillo's in Milwaukee?
It's about 15 minutes away. It's not that far, but it's not.
But you
that
can get
close
food
for-
a lot closer. That's like at
Yeah,
that Third
there's
Street
tons of
Market.
options.
I got a cheesesteak, Philly cheesesteak. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
there's like 12 restaurants inside of there, which is pretty sweet.
So good. So listen,
Yeah.
my let's kind of wrap it up. My take on this was excellent choice of venue. It was a great idea to move. There's plenty of room to grow. It's everything I wanted it to be. Getting there, there's no direct flight, but we managed to get there. We'll look at other options, maybe flying into Chicago, taking a train, whatever. For me, it was worth the layovers to go there and spend time.
Absolutely.
Carl's back to counting down to next year.
Yeah, I was actually trying to find like a free counter I could put up on the website that was
Reset the clock.
That's counting down the numbers. So
350 days,
I cannot
as we just finished.
cannot wait. But yeah, I do need to recover. Like I hit my limit in terms of endurance, and
I didn't want to be done, but I was ready to go home.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people were in that same spot. Yeah.
I had multiple
was.
conversations about that.
yeah. But I loved all the people out there I got to see again. I was, you know, Dave Taylor is always a highlight. You know, Jake is great. I can't go down the whole list of names because there's just too many at this point.
There's too many.
But Hank and Matt, like, you know, later at the after party, I was talking to Hank and I go, you know, you son of a, you know, you left me hanging all 4 days, and he kind of smiled and looked at me. He's like, yeah, but I knew you'd do it. You know, I was like, oh, you played me, you know, but he wasn't wrong. And I'll, you know what, I'll do it again, but we'll get some help and I'll get some support.
We'll have a
for
plan
those
next
friends.
year because we know what we're getting into.
We know what we're getting into. And I think it'll be bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, listen, let's wrap this up. We're going to go into a couple interviews with some friends, and then we're going to come back and close out the show. So we'll be right back.
All right, and we're back, and now I'm joined by two of the most. What's the opposite of illustrious?
Infamous.
Infamous.
Well, actually, no. Illustrious. I think it'd be obscure.
Okay, well, that might apply too, but you know, two of my favorite podcasters, to be honest with you, because they have such a unique approach, are Blake and Ed from Life After the Cover Save. We're gonna hit up Travis later. for his 15 minutes. But you guys were at Adepticon this year. So many of us were at Adepticon
Yeah.
that I wanted to hear kind of what your takeaways were for it. Like, now, have either of you come to Adepticon before?
Yes.
3 times.
There you go. Okay, 3
Boom.
times. Were you there last year?
Nice.
No. When
Yeah,
was
it
the
wasn't.
last time we were there?
So the first year we went to Adepticon, we were under the yoke of the Magnet Baron.
That's right.
Yeah.
You were magnetized.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, okay, go ahead.
So that the point of that was that we were outside the vendor hall.
Right.
So he had longer hours. So most of the time we spent at Adepticon, we were not in Adepticon. We were at the table selling magnets.
You were working the booth.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
We couldn't,
Working
we
the
couldn't really
booth.
see anything.
That was like Chelle and I at the Table War Charities booth at Nova. That's pretty much where we sat for most of the time.
Chelle and I.
All right, that's where Chelle sat.
It's been a while for you guys, though, right? Because I don't think we have crossed paths at Adepticon before, so it was probably pre-COVID for the both of you.
Well,
for the last time you were done.
The second time was just after when they re-upped after COVID.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And we
They
got
were
canceled,
selling-
right?
Yeah, the one
We were going to
going
go, but it got canceled.
Right. Right.
So the one after the cancel.
I went to that one too. Yeah.
Not sure what year that was. 2072?
22?
That tracks.
Okay, so I guess then my point is, you guys have been to Schaumburg before, where it was hosted before. This is a whole new venue. What was your take on the venue? I mean, like the venue in general. What were your thoughts?
You want me to handle this one, Ed?
Yeah, you go ahead.
And then you can
I'll correct
make
you.
adjustments. I loved it.
Yeah,
I want to go back to Milwaukee.
yeah.
I want to go back to it. I like this. It took me a bit to get used to all the nooks and the crannies.
Yeah.
I think even the very last day, I said, what's around this corner? And I'm like, holy guacamole. I didn't know this was here.
Right.
You know,
It just kept
and,
going.
and a lot of it was like mirror levels.
Yeah.
So there was moments where I'm like, okay, what floor am I on? And then it's just knowing where certain stuff is. So now I know the huge hall is on top.
Yeah.
And the vendor hall is in the middle
And the painting classes.
on the very bottom.
Did you know there's actually a 4th floor too?
I think there's 4th floor. I don't know.
There is. That's where the
There's
GW
the
like.
ballroom up top. Yeah.
That's the super top one.
Yeah.
It's the super top one.
So yeah, and what's interesting is they can expand even further. They can expand into the stadium, they can expand into the hotels, and they haven't even used all the space in the center. So, but your takeaway, Blake, was you enjoyed it, like you liked it.
Thumbs up.
Interesting. Okay.
I know some people are like, well, we don't know where the hot spots are. People don't know where to meet each other.
Yeah, that's my main complaint.
But well, that's because it's the first time. Yeah.
That's fixable.
Chelle's right.
Yeah.
We can communicate and figure that out and set that
Yeah,
up.
that was my suggestion to the group. That like in the
Just put a bar right in the middle.
I'm going I'm going to Adepticon group. Just post like, hey, tonight, the hangout spot is blah, and it's the Hyatt or the, Hilton or whatever, and then people know, hey, I can go congregate there and let's go see what's going on. I think that's a cool way of doing it, or this bar or this restaurant or whatever. Yeah.
I think the lounge that was in our hotel seemed like a pretty nice lounge.
Which hotel were you in?
The Hilton.
Oh yeah,
We're in the Hilton.
same with us. That's
Talking
right.
about the Monarch Lounge.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great
the
one.
Monarch Lounge.
That was a great spot. I didn't spend any time at the Hyatt Lounge,
No, I did.
but I had people say, Kat said that it was a pretty good lounge too.
It was too, but I think the Monarch Lounge was better.
Better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was cool.
Better
because there
chandeliers.
was A space to. People were playing games there.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
That's true too.
Yeah.
so.
What so what events did you guys participate in this go around?
I signed up for the Space Hulk game. I got in.
Yeah, you did.
I signed up for one painting class. I got waitlisted, but I was able to get in. And then Travis signed us up for a Marvel Crisis Protocol team tournament.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Yeah, you know what? So I try to space out my events so that I would do one thing a day, so I had time to
Socialize.
But but I think the times that I picked were kind of bad because they were middays.
Okay.
And so I missed out on some social things, which is okay. But the tournament in general is a tournament. So I had only played Marvel Crisis Protocol a couple times, and I feel like I was the weak link. But Travis also, like, we didn't expect the things that happened on the table. We still didn't, even the amount of games that Travis played, he usually only plays one person or his son.
Right.
So the list
It's a small pool.
sees,
Right.
so it's not varied. So when there's two Thors on the table, you're going to lose unless
You can put two Thors in. Oh, because you could probably choose like Jane and Thor or Beta Ray
Bill.
Flavor. Yeah.
Got it.
And then when you show up and then you have three Thors on the table.
Oh, no.
You say, "Hey, I'm Thori. I'm Thori." How would you say? I don't know. Thori.
You're gonna be Thor.
You're gonna be Thori. You're gonna be Thor. Anyways,
After this,
Take two of these, you'll be a Thor in the morning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that didn't go particularly well. I remember you guys coming back, and Travis seemed to feel very dejected. We'll talk to Travis about that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was honestly seeing the end of the tournament run was a highlight. It was a highlight of my trip. One of the highlights.
There's a lot of emotions going through Travis, and he's very in the moment. He'll just say things, and Blake was crying, laughing.
This seems to be a repeating theme amongst the three of you, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because
I think at this point the narrative is what's killing me more than anything. I've moved beyond any sort of. I'm not. It's not the feelings anymore. It's the narrative. It's the storyline that's keeping me in this thing. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. So what did you do, Blake?
I didn't realize we were registering until I slept through like 80 Facebook messages. And finally I'm up and I'm like, oh, that's today. No one told me. So then
no one told me.
No clue. I just thought like, oh, I'm gonna sit down on a voice call, talk with two of my best friends, Ed and Travis, and we're gonna try to figure some stuff out. No, that's not how it worked. But I showed up late to the party, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I just got in on some random demos.
Yeah.
And turned out a-okay. I didn't go to half of the demos.
Yeah.
So, and then I ended up demoing a couple things that I wasn't signed up for.
Okay.
So I did the Arsenal demo. I did.
You did. Yo, that's right. You explained it all to me. That's right.
Yeah. Then I did it with the creator.
Yeah.
Black Skullforge Studios.
Yeah.
And then I did the Brimstone Learn to Play. Fire Shadows of Brimstone. So those two things tickled me. And then I was able to demo 1490 Doom.
Oh, really?
And yeah. So that's pretty cool too. Super grim dark, 3 models, a round table, 2-foot round table. And they have a lore podcast. It's like 10 minutes each episode following a character.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't have much on my plate, and I was very happy. And I think, like Ed was saying, maybe one thing a day if possible.
Yeah.
And then the timing is important.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I always tell people don't overcommit, and then Adon signs up for 8,000 things.
Me too.
But some people have like a different tolerance for that. Like for me, I'm with you guys. Like I'll sign up for very little, but then I just want to socialize with people. And so Blake, I was like super glad you came and sat down with Chelle and I at the
Flex.
at the 40K Flex, because we were able to just spend some time chatting and talking, and then you talked me into going and buying Arsenal.
Thanks,
Blake.
Let's thank the Blackout crew for those great models.
Oh, they're fantastic.
And then thank
Arsenal.
the Blaster crew for giving me that demo.
Yeah.
You know what? I knew that was a place I could go.
Yeah.
I was tired from walking.
Sure.
And I knew it was a place I could go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew it was going to be a friendly place, a silly place,
Yeah.
like Camelot, and I knew you guys would be there.
Yeah.
And I knew there was an open seat, so that's why I did it.
Yeah.
I was stoked. We got to catch up and hang out.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what critiques do you have of either the venue, the show, those kinds of things? Was there anything that you were like, I don't like this? I mean, I just heard you walked a lot. I racked up some. So I do this thing, the Conqueror Challenge. Like you've probably seen.
Dude, I should have logged.
I
had to cheat my way through the Hadrian's Wall last year.
Oh, see, so I did the Lord of the Rings one before the Walk to Mordor. Now I'm doing the Hobbit one, and like I pretty much completed the Hobbit with all the walking I was doing.
Just at Adepticon.
I was pretty far through it, but like it's almost done.
Crazy.
Critiques?
Yeah.
Criticisms, Ed?
Well, okay, so I mean, this has been, I guess, maybe a longer running critique. The problem I had with my Space Hulk game was I wasn't able to play with my friends.
Yeah,
and I think that just narrows down to the registration process. Maybe there's a way when you schedule certain things, you can buy multiple tickets and then give them to your friends. Like, so if you're like, we're going to do these events together, I want to get 3 tickets and you get 3 tickets for that event, and then Josh will get 3 tickets for that event, and then we can just trade them out, and then now we're all together.
Or you could scalp them.
Well, yeah, that's
booster packs, right?
Well, yeah. I guess maybe
you
there
could
are
get way
flaws.
more than $5 for a registration for Space Hulk.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the interesting thing about that Space Hulk thing in particular, like I would have loved to play with you too. The interesting thing about it in particular is that, I mean, if you think about it, there's only 6 players, and they run, I think, 2 sessions a day, so it's 12,
super tiny.
Yeah,
It's a small
36 players over the course, maybe 48 players over the course of the event. I think it's 36.
Chatting with the Basement of Death guys Saturday night, they were saying they had run over because they packed up Saturday night. They had put in over 80 hours of gaming.
Yep.
Between Space Hulk and the other the fewer smaller things they were doing in there.
Yeah.
In their little basement of death. Which is, it's incredible. Like, so as much as everybody should play Space Hulk, there's just not bandwidth for them to run anymore.
No, not at all.
It's always going to be a hot one that sells out very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
which
so
is unfortunate.
They need to train Chelle to run it. So
Jesus.
Got to have 2 tables going.
Yeah.
I think I can
Supply and
sympathize
demand.
with Ed.
Yeah.
About like the registration process is funky. And we're not even talking about the painting classes. I have friends that just go there to paint, and they're like, I got 2, and one of them's with, I don't know who it is, but I got in.
Yeah.
And interesting, funny enough, one of them was talking to people about if you can host a painting class, that does kind of lower your cost of entry. So he's thinking that maybe he might try to teach something at Nova.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that seems like a good idea. And they're going to always, I think every painting class must have sold out.
Oh, I think so. And
that means it can only get bigger, which means they need more people.
Well, and now they have the room for it, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And multiple hotels can hold it. Yeah. I would say my biggest critique. You know what? There was a lot. It was a weekend of we're out of that. However, it never happened in the hotel or the convention center.
Yeah.
But there was a surrounding restaurants or whatever.
The city of Milwaukee.
They were not ready for us.
They didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, like a plague of bearded,
heavy set,
balding,
glasses,
social
hat wearing.
awkward.
Pick any 2 in that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Right. Any 2.
Yeah.
Locusts.
Yeah.
subsumed the city.
I think you're 100% right. We all went to that barbecue place the first night, and it was ridiculous. It was like, oh, I'd like this. We're out of that. We're out of that. You know what? We're out of barbecue. It's like, what is?
They closed the kitchen down.
And then what I got was
Yeah.
not good. Like that was a big disappointment. But again, I think yes, they were not ready for us. And I think Chelle, you had said the gals. I thought it was you that said the gal said they were. Our waitress was saying something like they were expecting people the next night.
You're right. We showed up on the Wednesday, and they were going to be staffed and prepared for people descending on Thursday.
Yeah.
I bet you
Actually,
they still ran out of food all weekend.
I'm
you
sure
they
they did. I'm sure it was still more than they had anticipated.
you know, actually, the Hilton, the breakfast was. I guess their service at their breakfast was a little
Light.
They were understaffed that one day. So I got a correction. The Hilton did have one moment where it was like they didn't have the support.
Yeah.
There was one food place that we went to. It was like a market, so there was different food vendors all
The
in
third
one
We
area.
went there too.
Yeah.
Third Street Market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the third.
That's
Fantastic.
a good
So-
spot.
I
Good
saw
find.
on the register a paper that had the Adepticon and the dates. So I think they were like, "Here's the dates," so we know that it's going to get crazy. this
Nice. They were fantastic. I had a Philly cheesesteak sandwich there.
day. Ooh,
We just went there once. We went there once.
Yeah, I did too.
But
We
I
only
think-
went once.
Yeah.
I think though Ed was saying this when we were eating, that might be a pretty good spot.
I think so.
In terms of making a bigger dinner.
Yeah.
Because people can get unless you want something fancy.
No, you're 100%
You
right.
can get anything, and there's a whole
tables.
bunch of room. They got shuffleboard. So it seems like that could be a nice spot where it's kind of an all-comers dinner.
It's a very good call.
It's hard to make.
Everybody happy with
Yes.
Mexican food
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't notice what their hours were, if they were open late after.
Ooh, yeah. But there's a bar within there.
There's
so
a
I
bar within
imagine-
there. I just don't know what
Yeah,
their hours
yeah.
look like.
But you're right,
overall.
Blake.
I'd heard on Wednesday they were planning on closing at like 7:30, and then Jake was saying on Bill Paint Play was saying that he talked to them, and the next night they stayed open later, and then the next night more and more people stayed open later, and it was like by Saturday I think everybody was open till midnight.
Yeah,
Next year, the restaurants and the things outside of the convention will be
more prepared.
Prepared.
Yeah. I will
They'll
tell you.
expect the swarm of locusts.
I will tell you, having heard behind the scenes that, talking to Hank and Matt and other folks there, that it was very successful, like for the city as well. Like the city is very eager to have Adepticon back and have kind of rolled out the welcome mat and been like, what do you need? It generated more business than other shows that have been there previously. And
That's
as a side note, and I said this actually in the there's a Adepticon Discord, and I said in there, I was talking to two gals that were working at the vendor hall in the in the game hall, right? And I said, hey,
The
is
food
everybody
stations.
being nice to you? And they were just raving about how everybody was so nice, and they were also really hot for the accents of the out of country folks, but they were like amazed at how nice everybody was, And I said, that's really good. So I think as gamers, we can take some credit
nerds
for
are good people.
we presented ourselves well and we're polite to people and all that jazz, and I think that's so important.
Not one death.
Not
That you know of.
not true. Well, not there, but yeah, yeah.
Any other critique or I was generally happy once I was getting my bearings because there was a lot of places to chill.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
need to know where they are. 'Cause
Yeah,
me and Ed found a really nice quiet spot. We sat with Sam Lins and Uncle Adam
Nice.
for a good hour.
Nice.
And only one person came up to say hi,
Oh, interesting.
which was fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
because you're having a conversation.
but yeah, so there were so many cool little pockets to socialize and be with.
That's
You know.
fantastic. And I think too, the other things I've heard is, they as they came in and they set up and okay, we'll have this here and we'll have this here and we'll have registration here and blah blah blah. I mean, once reality hit and it was like, oh, you know what? This is actually the wrong place for this. We should move this. And like, I know Jake from Build Paint Play, his friend Alan, who we met, who was just a wonderful guy. He's an artist. Where the artist alley was, like, he said, I'm not getting, I'm not really getting traffic. He didn't actually realize, like, Matt Weeks had walked by, and he was kind of telling Matt, he wasn't complaining, but he was saying, like, I'm not doing traffic here, and boy, I wish they'd move me. And he didn't realize who Matt was. He had just worked with Hank. And so next thing he knew, they were like, we're moving you over here. And they like moved all the artists to different places. And he said, my profits shot up 3x when they moved me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good.
So the other thing I would say is, like, for the first year that it's been at this venue, flawless. I mean, there were problems, but like I heard there were problems with security backing up at one location.
Yeah.
And then we saw somebody complain about it on the Facebook group, the I'm going to Adepticon group, and immediately like a staff member replied and said, we're on our way to co-help. And then they like came over there and cleared it up.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I mean,
Well, I think they need to. It feels like they used a lot of space.
Yeah.
For like, get your T-shirt here. Like, this is the sign up to put that in a non-important place and put the vendors up. You know how they have like the wooden.
that's an interesting.
They have
that's
those
an interesting
wooden
point. Yeah.
I don't know what you call those, like carnival booths or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
But whatever it is, put that away from the vendor hall.
That's a very good point, actually.
Let your contacts know.
I will.
We'll have the conversation.
I will. The other thing I think they were talking about was trying to get all the vendors into the vendor hall. They have the space for it, and they're like, let's just put them all in one hall, because it's almost not fair to the people outside of that vendor hall. And now, so I think they're rethinking a bunch of it. But I mean, all things considered, what a great first year. I mean,
Absolutely.
Impressive.
I know Hank.
I want to go.
I know Hank
want to
was,
go back.
I do too. Except I had to go. Like, it was good, but man, I was exhausted. But I think the other thing I heard Hank saying about he was so freaked out was oh my God, what if like there's a snowstorm and people can't get in or something? Because then they'd never hear the end of why did you move it out of Schaumburg? Like, it couldn't happen in Schaumburg.
Oh yeah.
But he never would have heard the end of it,
Right.
So anyway, well, cool. I'm so glad.
Snowed in Schaumburg last year.
Do you guys? Yeah, I've gotten snowed into Schaumburg. Do you guys think you will go back next year?
Oh man, I really want to.
Yeah.
I just have to see if I can make it happen because I really want to go back to Salute again. So
Yeah, Salute was pretty amazing, but Salute's a one-day show where you're just like,
well, I really want
it's
to
a
go back
shopping
to England
experience.
in general. I
Yeah,
want to go back to England in general and back to Nottingham, but I want to do it during Salute.
yeah, that's a good call. That's fun.
So, but I think they moved the date so it's in April, so it's not conflicting or anything.
Yeah, but doing both would be kind of pricey.
I'm not. After this, I've decided I'm not a con guy. I'm not a con guy. I just.
Are you one and done?
I'm a one and. I'm a one and.
I brought this up to Travis right away. I said, I heard you're one and done, and you're not coming back. He goes, I have been greatly misquoted.
Whoa. No.
So Blake's an Adepticon is what I
Yeah,
heard.
No. He sat down next to me. He breathed out a heavy sigh and said, I think I'm one and done. So
He
I don't lie.
meant the tournament. He did. He meant the tournament.
I'm gonna get.
Probably.
I'm gonna get in trouble for this. But I'm gonna read. Ed said you are one and done. I'm so sad. Ed is wildly misquoting me.
Nope.
I said,
Maybe Travis isn't a con guy, but he's a con man. Okay? So,
but what I did say is I do not see me going every year.
Yeah.
And I said, next year I'm doing more time. He said, that Space Hulk experience was amazing. And I said, nothing tops it. He says, I need to find more narrative events like that. The Marvel tournament left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
I tried to get him into a narrative event that was Marvel Crisis Protocol that the Basement of Death guys were throwing, where they're trying to like stop a Sentinel.
Yeah. That would have been
but
cool.
timing wise, he already had plans to go to a museum with his wife, so that didn't happen.
That would have been the right
something
group.
Like that, obviously, like
That would have been
those con experiences for sure. Exactly. I think he would have.
Or to be quite frank, we'll talk to Travis later, so we should be talking about Travis. But
don't talk
No,
about it.
it all worked out perfectly.
he wants to play more 40K. The 40K flex was exactly what he was looking for, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
To answer the question for reals, yes, I can't do that every year.
no stuff.
There's other my mic is just slipping. There's other places other places I want to go. I mean, spring break is oftentimes when I travel with my brother or my cousin, we'll go to different places. So yeah, I do want to come back. I don't think I can swing it every single year.
Yeah,
but heck, if it was just, what do we say, a 6-hour drive?
Yeah.
If that was our limit, if it was a 6-hour drive, we would go every year.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a very understandable thing. Then you could also like road trip, like when you guys come up here, right? So,
Yeah.
All right,
That's exactly
Absolutely.
guys, thank you so much for joining us. We super appreciate it. We'll have you back on soon to actually talk some 40K talk.
I'll pass.
Yeah, okay. So Ed will have you on soon. Well, Ed,
And Travis.
Blake wonders why when we bring Ed and Travis on, then he's like, "How come I was left out?" Do you see Justin on this call? He's not playing 40K, baby.
Yeah, well, we miss him and we love him anyway.
Yep. I do too. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you joining, and we will talk to you guys again very, very soon.
All right, we are back, and we are joined by Skye and Craig, Santa Cruz locals, and some serious hardware winners here at Adepticon. So we're curious we're just chatting with some of our friends who joined us on this trip, since we had so many of us there, and we were kind of just wanted to get your inside scope on Adepticon, your experiences there.
Yeah. First off, welcome to the show. Second off, let's start with Craig because I can't wait any longer. Craig, I am so excited for you, dude. I cannot. So
Thank you.
First off, you turned in something for Golden Demon. Can you describe the piece that you turned in?
So the piece is now the bane of my existence because I spent so much time staring at it. But it's a massive squigs coming out of a cave, and two snotlings on the other side who've gathered a little pile of mushrooms and are calling them for breakfast. So entered it into the diorama category.
Yeah. And what did you end up placing?
I ended up getting silver in the diorama.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Like it was
So well deserved.
Yeah. For the listener,
Stunned.
Craig, you are way too humble about your painting. Your Sisters of Battle are stunning looking. And when we were out to dinner the night before and you had heard that, okay, it's been pulled for like, I guess the finals evaluation, but you didn't know how many were in the finals. So like, you were just happy if you were going to get a pin. I was laughing.
Oh my God, yeah.
I was laughing so hard because you're like, I'm going to throw up. Like, I'm so nervous, about this. And Josh and I think were actually fairly confident you were going to place pretty well because it was a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, no,
how many?
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I am still stunned, still very, very surprised. Like super proud that I was in the 5. Did not expect a statue with the other pieces that were there, but yeah,
What?
It was pretty crazy.
When did you find out you won? Is it when they literally call your name and you go on stage?
Yeah. So what they do, so they take them off the shelves and then they put them back, and there were 5 finalist pins in the diorama category, and then you go to the ceremony, and they let all the finalists in early, and they tell you how it's going to happen, and they get you all amped up. And
but
I was pretty
at this
calm.
Point, they don't tell you who's won. They just say this is how it's going to all roll out.
This is how it's going to. And I was pretty calm because I was like, I'm not winning anything. These so it's easy. Like I'm not nervous because who cares? I thought in outside possibility, like maybe maybe a bronze. Maybe if the judges were kind of high and were thinking like this or drunk,
He had
they'd
no
pick
acceptance.
me
Some
over
mushrooms
these
of
two.
their own.
He had no
Yeah,
acceptance
yeah. Oh, man.
speech folded up in his pocket.
No, not at all. So they have all the finalists go up and stand up, and so they honor all the finalists, which is pretty cool because most categories have like 5 finalists or more.
Okay.
And then they go bronze is this, silver is this, gold is this.
Right.
And they called out the bronze, and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. It's not me. I can relax. I didn't make the cut." And then silver came up, and I was just stunned when they called my name. Just honest to goodness, just duh.
I'm so excited for you, Craig.
It was very cool.
yeah.
We were all very excited for you. Like when we heard, "Oh, Craig got it," we were like, "Oh my god, that's so amazing!" It's
I told you you were gonna take some hardware home.
Oh,
There you
I
go.
appreciate it.
And I know how many times I called that imposter syndrome over the course of a few days of the judging there, but it's like it is such a phenomenal piece.
It has so much character.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it told a story immediately. And the thing that pisses me off about you, Craig, is that you've only been painting for like 7-8 years now. And here you are just destroying all of us.
Oh my god, it's incredible.
No, it definitely still feels really weird. I'm so happy, so like overjoyed that I did that throughout the whole like ceremony and all the other finalists and all the other winners and stuff. Do you know that? Do you know that one meme with the soldiers like standing by the wall and there's that one clown like right in the middle of that was me. That was me like the whole time. I just
Still-
like, what am I doing here? This
Still
makes
has
no
the
sense.
imposter syndrome, even though it's
This
been
makes no
validated.
sense.
Even though it's been validated.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, this is Craig. Is this your first experience at Adepticon? Skye, I know it's not yours.
This was my third Adepticon. Yeah.
How many have you been to, Skye?
Like 4 for real, and then I went to 2 in college where I was in Chicago for something and I just popped over for a day.
Got it.
But this is my 4th like actually going and registering for stuff.
Okay, so Skye, you are a game store owner of Herrick Games, one of our sponsors. Thank you so much. And you kind of go with a different reason in past events, like you go to network and that kind of thing about game stores and this products that are coming out and that kind of thing. How was your experience first off this year different from previous years? And obviously, what do you guys think of the new venue?
Yeah, I love Milwaukee, to be honest. The only thing that I didn't like was that there's no direct flights from the Bay Area,
Yep.
which made it a little onerous to get there.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to try and I might fly to Chicago and drive up because I heard that might be a little bit less work, but we'll see. But other than that, I liked everything about the new venue. Like there's way more options for people to like stay close by. There's way more options to eat close by. And the food at the venue there was a lot more of it and a lot better. And it was more expensive, but whatever. I mean, I've just write off my wallet once I decide I'm going to Adepticon and say, all right, I'm going back. But
everything's more
and then-
expensive in general, right?
Yeah.
So it's
the
there's
whole,
a piece of that too.
Yeah, our whole economy right now is anyway. But from the so yeah, I normally set aside at least a day to go talk shop with other it's not actually with other like game store owners for the most part. It's
Right.
mostly with suppliers and vendors. And for instance, one of the things that I've been working on for a while is developing a better business relationship with the folks behind Bushido, which is a fantastic skirmish game. It's really small. It's really big in UK and Europe, but it's very small in the United States. And trying to cultivate a relationship with them around like bringing it more both within Herrick Games and Hobbies, but also to other stores and just cultivating that more. So I set aside some time, past years, I like take Artist Opus out to lunch and find out more about their work and what they were doing. And that's always really cool. Like I nerd out about the nerdy stuff, playing the game, the background stuff, but also the actual industry itself is really interesting for me. So I had a long conversation with them about their transitioning from resin and metal miniatures to 3D printed and how that works for them, and just talking through what that looks like and indie games in general. And there's a number of indie game companies that I've gotten to be friends with, like the guys from Blaster, Electi Studio.
Yeah.
That game
A bunch
Arsenal,
of us are trying out Arsenal. So.
Yeah. And Greg's been a friend of mine for a couple years. Sean from Relic Blade. So anyways, and Adepticon is really interesting because it's so wargaming focused. Like there's Gen Con has a huge amount of board games, right? A lot of TCGs.
Yep.
Then there's a trade show called Gamma, which also has a lot of stuff, but I'm very specifically in the wargaming category. And so they're all there. And this year, especially the vendor hall, I feel like was twice as good as previous years. You saw every company there, even ones that had never been to the United States before, a lot of presence, a lot of indie groups, it was awesome. And I just thought like overwhelmingly, it was really cool. And I mean, Craig and I picked up a really cool game from Brazil. And I was like, I didn't even know, like, to be completely honest, I didn't know of a single game coming out of South America. And I always get hit up about exporting to South America. And so it was really cool to meet them and talk through what's it like being a game company growing in Brazil. So that was another interesting conversation that came out of it.
Neat.
Very cool. What was your guys, to your point there, the vendor hall did feel more to me than before, like what am I trying to say? Like, Salute in Europe,
in the UK.
There was a whole lot of small vendors there that I thought were really, really interesting. And so, but interestingly enough, for one of the first times, like I walked around the hall and I didn't feel compelled to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, same, thankfully.
Yeah. And there was a point where I was like, I want to buy something, I was like trying to, and I'm just like, I really don't. Realistically, I have what I need at the moment. And then, of course, Blake,
your closet of opportunity overfloweth.
Blake talked me into Arsenal when I was looking at Blackout, but yeah. So I mean, but I'm also going in with the anticipation I'm not really going to go deep into this game. So I think
you don't need to. No. It's 12 bottles.
Yeah. What was your guys' take on the new venue? On the new venue, I'm kind of asking all the guests that.
So I really liked it. I thought it was much better. Like Skye mentioned, more hotels nearby. The food was better. The halls were bigger. A small thing, the classes where they had the painting classes, the lighting was a lot better. Like in back in Chicago. A small thing. Yeah, it was much better across the board. Really enjoyed it.
Even the gaming hall. Like I was at Nova earlier in the year, and I walked in the hall.
Oh yeah!
If you look at the pictures I took of the gaming hall, like where the tournament was, it looked like all my pictures have a blue tint to them, like I'm in Terminator 2. Like they're
wow! I was super impressed with how it was the first year they did it here. It's a huge change for all the organizers, and it went like really smooth. Yeah. Like I don't know of anything that was like problematic about the whole thing. It was pretty impressive that they managed to pull off such a big change and do it so well.
Yeah, we kind of had the same. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I was going to say on that front, I really liked. So, for instance, I played. Craig and I played the Adeptus Titanicus doubles. Yes. Josh was in there as well. And it was like its own room with LI in there, and it had been its own room before, but I don't know what was about it where it was just like
LI being Legions Imperialis.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. We could talk in a normal voice. Like after the first day in previous Adepticons, my voice was shot.
You guys were not capable of talking in a normal voice. You two were having entirely too much fun.
We were yelling engine kills.
We had 4-player group high five, screaming engine kills, laughter. Man, you guys were having more fun than anybody in that room.
Yeah, if we had wanted to talk in a normal voice, we could have. But and then and Bushido had a whole room. It was like there was like 40 people there, and then a lot of the indie games like Relic Blade normally had one table, and it was a whole row in the gaming hall, and I appreciated that because in the past. There was just a lot more space for the indies, and it wasn't taken from anything, right? Like the GW hall was massive. The biggest hall was massive. And like Flex, you guys had so many tables, and so I think just like having that available was awesome. And so I really really appreciate it, and it made me like think about, oh, maybe I would want to help someone, run an event next year, right? Because it's not like I don't want to fight for 2 tables. I want to help do something for real.
Right.
And so that was really cool. I really appreciated that as well.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything you guys just said. I thought it was roomy. It's spread out over a much wider area, so you do a lot of walking. You got to be ready for that. So I wore good walking shoes.
Get your steps in.
Even there, my feet hurt. Like by the end of the day, I was like, oh my God.
I bought new tennis shoes just for it because I'd gone to a convention 2 weeks before and gotten blisters. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that again. It was a good choice.
So you mentioned Adeptus Titanicus. The two of you did team tournament Adeptus. How did that turn out, and how was it run? And like, what was your experience? It sounds like you had a great time. What was your experience like there?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was amazing. That whole the epic scale like series. They tie the 4 games. They have 4 different events over the course of the thing. Tie it all into one big huge campaign. Is just so fun. It's just so amazing. Yeah. And I love how they run it. I love the people who run it. Skye and I did it last year, and we were going to do a different event, a different doubles this year. But as we got closer and closer to Adepticon, we just got to do this again. We got to play AT cool. again. So, and it was a blast. It was amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then we got our opponent randomly because you just like they choose a spot on the map and then you challenge someone to that. We played the first game, had an absolute blast with Jim and Dean. We all went to lunch, and then at lunch I ran into them. They said, hey, there's nothing that says we can't play again in the second match.
That speaks volumes that they enjoyed playing with you guys, though.
Yeah, and so we did, and it was incredible. We played both games. They were so fun. Both in true Adeptus Titanicus, like it came down to the fact that they killed our Titan, and then our Titan exploded and killed 3 other Titans, and that actually won us the game.
Amazing.
Because it killed the Titan we needed it to. And if they hadn't killed it, they would have won. But not like we cared at all. And so
that's amazing.
It was fantastic. And one of the things I always do is I give everyone a free reroll if I play against them. And so they gave us rerolls back, and we just used it to reroll the dice that you use to determine if you explode. One time we rolled like 3 1s in a row, and we're like, no, keep re-rolling until you get an 8 or a 10. So it was amazing. It was really, really fun. Yeah. And then at the end of it, they look at who won, and then they read off like a little bit of fluff. And they say, the traders pushed it. And I don't know if they wrote it or if it was pre-written, but it was cool to just like end it with that. And then the next day, other people pick up the story and tell it as well. And they have this beautiful like 3D printed map that's fully painted that you're fighting over. And it's an awesome gaming experience that you don't normally get.
Yeah. Is this
they do such a good job running that.
Is this the same group running that Josh, you and I played when we played the doubles?
Yeah, it's the Garang Legion. They have their custom 3D printed kind of Epic Empire style terrain. But they've modified it a little bit because now they have Legions Imperialis fighting over the same map and same locations that Adeptus Titanicus is. So now there's spots for like they have 2 different sizes of tokens. So there's like if the big token's happening, that's where the larger war is with Legions Imperialis. And the smaller tokens where the Titan battles are. So there's more interaction on the map now because there's multiple game systems happening at the same time.
That's very cool.
It's cool. It's a nice evolution. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I love it. The attitude of everybody who's there is just, okay, we're going to have fun. We're going to play. There's no real winner or loser.
Right.
It's really good time. Everybody's there just to have fun.
Well, that's fantastic.
Everyone who's there is a winner just for participating.
Is that the only event you guys played in? I think Skye, you took some classes, right?
I took classes, and then Josh and I played the Bushido Grandmasters the next day, and he did much better than I did because I just grabbed every model I had that looked cool and threw them in a list and got absolutely rocked by the Grandmaster in the first game. But
Josh actually came with a plan.
Fantastic time. Yeah, he came with a plan. He read the rules.
I also grabbed every model that I have, but my faction only has 8 models, so it makes it much easier.
That's funny.
I picked the Water Dragon and the Scorpion King and just was like, all right, we're gonna YOLO this. So but it was really fun. It was and I went into that going, I'm gonna lose. I want to see how you actually play this game because it's a pretty crunchy game.
Sure.
I wanted to see what would happen if I played people who knew how to play it. So it was super fun. Played 3 games, did a demo game with some of the other folks from the Bay Area, and had an awesome time. Yeah, and then did a bunch of classes, which were really cool.
Very cool. Very cool. And Craig, what about you? Anything else?
Oh no, I just played the ATW doubles with Skye, and then took some painting classes. Did some game demos, some stuff that I hadn't played before, like Mordheim or Malifaux and Trench Crusade. So
what leapt out? What leapt out at you most during the demos and such? Like what really drew you to it?
Malediction. I think
really?
was the coolest one. Yes, that's the one
that in Kickstarter, and then I backed out of it.
That's the one where I left the booth, I left the demo, and I immediately texted Skye. I was like, "Okay, what faction do you want? Because I'm just going to buy the 2 faction sets so that we can play later." It's just I play casually, and so a lot of games that have really, really deep rule sets make me tired and sleepy, and I like playing the more simple things. Malediction is not a simple game, but the fact that it's like kind of Magic meets a skirmish game means that you have all the cards just sitting there in your hand, and you're like reading, okay, these are the spells, these are the powers that I'm going to do. So it's really crunchy and deep, but it's like a lot more accessible than a lot of games.
Right. Well, that sounds awesome. Any critiques of the event? I mean, it is the first year, but what would you like to see different next year? Or assuming you're going next year.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I already put it on my calendar.
Yeah, I did too.
I
dates today, and I put them on my calendar.
I can't think of anything. I thought it was really. I mean, registration day 1, getting your badge was like a little screwy, but it always is, and it cleared up like really fast.
Up in an hour and a half. They did that massive line in an hour and a half, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I really was impressed with how well it ran.
Yeah,
this year.
Get your badge shipped to you.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yes.
It's really nice to have it shipped to you. I have to say, I did that last year.
Worth it.
Yeah, I would say probably the only little piece of feedback I had was just signage. It was sometimes really hard to figure out where stuff was, but I think that was more of like being a new venue, like now I understand immediately the difference. Like if there's an N or an S, there's 2 different buildings and there's a sky bridge,
right? Yeah.
And I didn't know the first day you couldn't go through on the first level that there was a road between the 2 buildings, like all just the normal growing
kind of learning it. Yeah. The signage too. They had those digital signs that they had put up that were like TVs. I also would have loved to have seen, the classrooms like tell you what is going on in that classroom they have digital signage. There. Use it, but the Cvent app was super good to use. I mean, and one of the things I heard in particular, like people are like, "Oh, why don't you print out a map and have it up?" They're like, because if something changes location, they can digitally change it in the Cvent app easily. Whereas now you're in the wrong room or what have you. So, but I agree with the signage. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want a 1,500 point Warhammer 40K Flex event. That's what I want next year. That would be an improvement.
What's interesting is we've talked about that.
Funny you mentioned that.
Some people are really for the 2000. I think what we'll do is kind of, well, at least my thinking right now is we set it at 2000, but say, have a 1500 or we can set it at 1500 and say grow, have the capacity to grow to 2000 if you want. Because if your opponent wants to play 2000, we'll allow it. We did have a number of people not finish games in the allotted time because it's a lot of there were some newer players there, but also just players who aren't playing a lot or playing tournament
and the social aspect.
And the social aspect is there, right? They're just socializing and having fun. I think a lot of players didn't get to the final round of the game, but they determined who the victor was.
Yeah.
Campbell and I played a game. We got to the bottom of turn 3, and I was like, "Yeah, you've got this." At that point, it was over.
It was a great event. I heard multiple people, even like people on the plane on the way back, talking about the Flex event and hey, it was really good. It didn't have the same like tension that the tournaments do, and just people playing, which is always good. Right.
Well, good. Well, listen, I'm
like
considering the 1,500 point thing because I want to see how I can make that work.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I think the thing that appeals to me from Flex is it's organized. So like open gaming is a little bit
too open.
Like if you're new, especially, right? Like you walk up and you're like, all right, I'm just going to play someone. So like, I think the organization of it, but there's no, at the end of it, it's like, hey, we just all had fun. So I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I did think of one other piece of feedback for Adepticon. This is again, not their fault. One of the coolest things about Schaumburg was like that bar where everyone would hang out with at night.
Nothing new there. Yeah. We were just.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chelle.
This is a theme in conversations we've been having. That we need a central location. We need a plan.
Yeah.
But Blake from Life After Cover State brought up an interesting idea too, because we were talking about maybe on the I'm going to Adepticon Facebook group, people, there's a post that says, hey, everybody's congregating at the Monarch Lounge this evening or whatever. But Blake also brought up that that venue. What was it called, Chelle? The
Third Street Market.
The Third Street Market might be a really good location because people can go get whatever food they want, but there's enough area to hang out in. We may even be able to work out. The group is so large, it may even be able to work out with those people that, hey, how about we get, you hold people, I don't know, maybe there's some way. I doubt we could reserve it because I doubt we could provide that much to every vendor in there, but there may be some special area we can rope off or something. That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be doable.
Yeah. I really like that market, and I actually ran into quite a few people that I went in there. I think a lot of people had the same experience. So yeah,
awesome. All right, well, listen, guys, thanks so much for joining us. We
thank you. It was awesome,
Craig. We're so proud of you, man. Like, congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And congrats to both of you for the medals you won. But yeah, huge congrats to Craig for the Golden Demon, obviously.
Did you guys place in the Adeptus Titanicus thing? Did you get medal?
Craig got a best painted medal, as you would expect.
What?
And Skye got best themed. Do you gotta say why?
Yeah, so I play. My Titans are named Leroy and Jenkins, and they stand next to each other, holding their chain fists together, and run straight at the biggest thing they can find. And I yell Leroy Jenkins. So yeah, it's pretty great. I told my kids, I showed my medal. I was super proud of it. I don't think adults get enough prizes in life, and my kids were like, "What's the medal for?" And I said, "Oh, it's Leroy Jenkins," and none of my kids knew it because they're 11.
They're too young. Yeah.
So I came home, I showed them the video, and Jasper, my 9-year-old, for like the next 3 hours, just was yelling Leroy Jenkins walking around.
That's funny.
Parenting win.
Yeah, and then even today after karate, he was just going, "That Leroy Jenkins, that was so funny." Good times.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you.
Thank you.
All right, and last but certainly not least, we got Travis here. What's up, Travis?
Hey, doing good.
I had your two compatriots on earlier.
I heard about that.
Did you? Did you?
Yes.
We had a little discussion about Ed misquoting you.
Yeah, because what? I'm an emotional guy. I feel things in the moment.
I'm with you.
And I say, and I'm an emotional and performative guy
and vocal.
So yeah, we're talking. I'm drinking. Of course, I'm going to say some extreme things. Well, so here's the thing: if you say, "Oh yeah, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'll come back or maybe not." That's not very entertaining. But if you say, "I shall never return again," so saith the Lord, then it's like people are like, "Ooh, that's exciting. That's
They're going to pay attention."
But it's also just a performance.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, listen. So this was your first time going to Adepticon.
Yeah, very first Adepticon.
And so, as a new person to Adepticon, you have nothing to compare it to, in the sense that, Like you weren't at Schaumburg. You didn't see what it was like.
That's true. I never went there. I've never experienced other Adepticons. I have been to other conventions, so I have some, basis of reference there. But yeah, no other Adepticons to compare it to.
Right. Okay. So this is actually good because I want the perspective of somebody very new to the event. So give me your initial kind of thoughts on how this stacks up against other conventions you've been to. Have you been to LVO?
Yes, I have been to several LVO, but never any at the Rio. I've only been to LVOs at the first place, which was next to Paris, which was Bally's.
Yeah. So you can have a comparative vibe too.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts here?
So this massive location, it was a massive con, very expansive, very big. It was took you a long time to walk from one end of the con to the
Every
other.
guest has mentioned this, including the hosts.
But I am not opposed to getting some walking, and with all the beer and cheese I was consuming, I actually think the walking
it's probably good.
Offset it a little bit. And I'm okay with that. I actually think the con itself seemed to be run very well. The app that they were using was useful to get your locations. I don't think the convention center had a very good system of just signs telling you where the different building rooms are.
Yeah, agreed.
I got so lost like many times trying to find things.
If you went back next year, which we've already determined you're not going back next year.
Yeah, most likely not.
If you went back next year though, I think you would feel like, oh, now I've got it down.
Yes, I understand there's a north building and a south building,
right? Which wasn't clear. It's like, why is this S1023?
I kind of understand the escalator system a little bit better now, and what is above and what is below. So yeah, I think that's just getting familiar with the venue.
Yeah.
So all of my complaints that I have nothing to do with Adepticon or the center.
You know what? Unlike the others, let's start with your critiques and complaints.
Okay, yeah. Because the good stuff's good stuff, but
we'll mix it up.
But I felt like everything surrounding the convention center was woefully unprepared for a convention to be happening at the convention center.
Certainly on Wednesday.
Well, no, here's the thing. That was the theme with me and Anna. I brought my wife along, and it was just constantly, oh, we're out of that. Oh, we don't have any more of that.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that. We're all out of that. It's like even the Starbucks in the morning, I ordered my Starbucks in the app, and they brought them. Okay, we're out of this, we're out of this, we're out of that.
They were running out of the breakfast sandwiches and stuff.
Okay, I guess that's the theme of the weekend. I stayed at the Hilton. They were doing some construction on some floors there.
Yep.
And our room was directly beneath it. And throughout the whole, you couldn't take a nap in there because they were drilling constantly.
Oh, really?
From 8 a.m. to about 3 p.m.
You should complain to the Hilton, honestly, because I heard that people they're going through a remodel, and there were some issues with getting furniture in rooms and whatnot. But I had heard that people that complained to the Hilton got Hilton points, or in one case, I know
I did. I stay with Hilton a lot. I'm a Hilton Silver member, trying to get up to that gold. So yeah, we made our complaints. I got some extra points.
Well, at least you got something out of it.
But to me, it's just you kind of have to not. Agreed. When you're working on the floor above and the floor below have to not be rented out. Yeah, so but that's just my personal opinion. And yeah, maybe I'm a little snotty when it comes to, but it's it's a lot of money.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap at all. So it's I expect a certain.
I think my stay there, and I stayed Wednesday through Monday, we took off Monday, was $1,000.
Yeah, I mean, I was Wednesday till
Sunday, right?
Till Sunday, and it was easily $900 or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, not a cheap hotel stay. So you expect a little bit more, and just little things like that. Yeah, do you know what I'll have to say? I received some of the worst service from waiters I've ever received before in my life.
I would agree. I would agree with that too.
I was floored by so the steakhouse,
fantastic
service.
The chop house.
Everywhere else, it was abysmal.
We had pretty good service at that market, the 3rd Street Market thing. Like,
I never made it over to.
It was
Market. Yeah,
it was good. But I mean, even there, it was. Chelle brought up an interesting point. She said, I think there's a different expectation on service from, admittedly, we're in California. I mean, not to sound, like you said, not to sound snobby, but like service is a premium here. And
I'm a little bit snobby.
If I'm going to get effectively tipped on like service and have to give a tip as well, like you better bring it, I mean, I think that's reasonable to expect. That being said, I usually tip well, so I expect better service. But like, did you go with us to the night to the?
So I was with you at the barbecue joint, and the service was fine there, but
they were out of everything.
Had no food. They just had no food.
When we went to the Irish pub, that is literally the worst service I've ever had. Moe's Irish pub was terrible.
Well, one of the German restaurants I went to, really bad service. Like the hostess was outright rude to us, and Hannah almost said, "Okay, we're leaving." But I'm like, I really want some sausage.
Yeah.
But it wasn't good. Oh, and I wasn't with him, but like Ed was explaining to me another German place that the service he received, where like the waitress was actually yelling at them because they were using the app to order their food.
I heard about that.
Which
the guy had directed them to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Which if that happened to me and Anna, there would have been like screaming happening. So listen,
we went to, but I went to an Italian restaurant with Kat and Caleb and Dave Taylor and a few others. And that service was fantastic. Like, so I think it varies by, and it wasn't like a super pricey place. It was good. The food was good too.
Yeah, it was just I was just very surprised. Like I just never like have had waiters and hostesses talk so rudely to me before.
Interesting.
At a restaurant.
Yeah,
like ever.
That's good. That's good feedback.
So it was interesting. I think maybe that's the Milwaukee vibe.
It's the Milwaukee way.
So like, hey,
the Chicago way. You've come to the Milwaukee way. Hey.
Hey. Okay, but complaints aside, and I do have more complaints, but let's go back to the event, if I may.
Yeah, please.
I got the opportunity to play in the Space Hulk game, and everyone who listens to this podcast know that all we could do is just say how amazing it was. But I am like so. Space Hulk was almost my first purchase, but I ended up going with the 2nd edition box set of Warhammer 40K because Aliens was like my favorite movie, and Space Hulk looked like an Aliens board game to me. But I'm happy that I went with actual 40K. But I did play a lot of Space Hulk in all its iterations, and I just really like that game. And what those guys are doing with that Space Hulk event at Adepticon, it wasn't talked up enough. I think
I've undersold it.
It was just a pinnacle of gaming experience. Like while I was doing it, I'm all like, this is the greatest game I've ever played before in my life.
I'm so glad you had such a good time with that. Those guys work so hard and provide such an experience,
It was like the LED wires in the scenery and like the blips actually being like these glowing blips, and all the models painted up looked great. I got to play the Space Wolves, which the ones that they just added for this event, and I had a rune smith, a rune priest. Yeah, throwing out some psychic powers. Chelle was brutal. She did not hold back.
No.
Just playing the
she gets hyper competitive.
It was great. It was truly like, wow, what a spectacle. And that was the highlight.
I'm so glad
actually that single event made the whole Adepticon week worth it.
And it was funny because like I messaged you, I'm like, I'm like, who is the 6th player? And then Chelle's like, is it Travis? I'm like, it was Travis. And then like I messaged you, I'm like, hey, weren't you going to play the Space Hulk thing? So I didn't want to reach out to somebody that wasn't invited to the group initially and then inadvertently be either one, fill the spot or make somebody feel left out.
And so then when you're like, I'm canceling my plans to be there, I was like, I don't think he'll be disappointed.
Yeah, no. The thing is, it's like we had talked about it, but it was never a like certainty.
Oh, I thought we had locked it in. Yeah.
But you know, hey, listen, it was locked in now, and yeah. I mean, my plans were just me and Anna were going to go out to dinner. I was like, hey, Anna, do you know what? You're on your own today. Bye.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it that much.
No, it was definitely the highlight of the whole thing.
Well, those guys, I think they listen to this show, so I think they'll appreciate the.
Well, yeah, they out of the park.
Yeah.
Now.
Caleb was so funny in that game. Dude.
Oh yeah, I like that Caleb. Like, I'm gonna use my Marines.
Oh Jesus! But not even that. It was like him trying to solve that one. Like, if I move this guy here and then I move this guy here,
he redid his turns like 6 times,
at least 6 times. And finally, we're just like, Caleb, make a decision, dude.
Come on, it's the last turn of the round.
Yeah, you're overthinking.
That was very fun. Yeah, it was a great group. Everyone playing was just fantastic.
Yeah.
I also with Ed played in the Marvel Crisis Protocol doubles tournament.
We talked to Ed about this a little bit.
Yeah, and listen, this is a theme that comes up on the show, and so I don't like tournaments, and I loved everything in that event. Everything Marvel Crisis Protocol, excellent. Doubles, yes, but I should have focused on the word tournament.
Ooh.
and I thought that all the other words would become greater than the word tournament, but unfortunately, the word tournament was king on that day.
Yeah.
Now I have to say the tables looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The terrain was all really well painted.
Adepticon
really
spray team painted all that stuff up.
Yeah,
it looks fantastic.
Fantastic. And everyone's like models that they were bringing. There was this one team that brought, there was 2 teams that had arcade cabinets that had like X-Men, and the other one had Guardians of the Galaxies and Thor's
as Guardians of the
Galaxies, and the displays. And there was someone who had an X-Men with a Sentinels display that was fantastic. So there was so much about this event that I was like, oh, this is so great. But just the level of competitiveness is just it's not what I'm looking for.
We talked about this a little bit in the previous interview with Ed and Blake, and I didn't realize that the Basement of Death guys also did like a Marvel Crisis Protocol thing where everybody was working together, like fighting some Sentinels or something like that. And I was like, oh, Travis would have loved that.
And do you know what, the next morning, like Josh said, like, oh, look, there's a spot open on this. And I had already made plans to take Anna to what am I thinking about? Art museum. We went to
get some culture.
Get some culture. And so I'm like, I can't do it. But that would have been that's the event I should have. So really the only critiques I have about Adepticon, it's so big. And as a first-time comer, it was so difficult to know what I should sign up for.
Fair enough.
And I made some mistakes. That team tournament I signed up for was a bad fit for me, and I didn't have a good time in it. Although my opponents were great, me and
Ed, they were there to play a tournament and win.
Me and Ed just had like brutal losses, and it's like. We weren't even playing the same game that these people were.
This is how I feel about 40K in the tournament scene, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just playing a different game than you are. And Doug Johnson will sit there and tell me, "Oh no, you're not. We're." And I'm like, "No, Doug, you don't understand. We are playing a different game." When Josh says, I don't like to bring name characters, and you're like, I don't understand why. I'm like, I don't know how to explain that to you any differently.
I mean, like I just told you why, because I don't like it.
That's okay.
There was just like these Thors were just, you get 2 actions per turn, and you have some superpowers that you could do as well. And the Thor was just like attacking me, and then attacking me again, and then attacking me again, and then attacking me again. And I'm like, I guess this is okay. I mean,
I don't know. All right.
I feel like I should get a turn, but so that
you got a new puppy.
That didn't. Little puppy. The neighborhood cat's in the backyard haunting him right now. He wants to go out and attack.
Mocking him.
Yeah. but yeah, but overall, like, yeah, do I want to return to Adepticon? Yes. Is it going to be an annual thing for me?
Probably
no.
not. Yeah.
I don't. I think because at the end of the day, I tried to think. So I calculated the amount of money that it costs for me to go there, which is pretty steep since, we have flights that we have, I can't just drive.
And there's two of you. If you went
there's
with
two
your
of
wife.
me.
Yeah.
It's like, if I go again, like I was so glad Anna was there, but like now that Anna saw what it is and I say, hey, I want to go, it'll be easier for her to say, okay, yeah, just go do your Adepticon for a week.
Right.
And leave me here with the kids,
Right.
But I think her having to see it, it's going to be an easier putt to do that, which would reduce the cost greatly.
Sure.
But here's the thing. I also get almost equal enjoyment of just having a gaming weekend as well. And I think it is that I don't have the history yet. So there aren't like people I'm seeing at, because that's what Blake and Ed, everyone was talking about is like what they really like. I felt like everyone I kind of saw and interact with, I could see and interact.
I got you. Yeah. I mean, we've built up relationships there.
Exactly.
And
if I give it some more chance, although you know what, I was able to meet Brent from Goobertown, who's been like a digital friend of mine for like 10 years. And that was the first time we ever physically were in the same space.
Yeah.
So that was really neat. And I got to have dinner with him. So
yeah, he's such a nice guy.
Oh yeah. Great guy. Another highlight.
So though another thing I would say is if you're going to go again next time, like, let us help you with strategy on what to pick. I think the 40K flex, as much as I ran it and I'm promoting, like that's the style of game I think you are looking for, knowing you.
Yeah. But knowing that I just need to like really avoid the tournament title and looking for like just really kind of like, narrative gaming, cooperative gaming experiences.
Sure.
That's ultimately what I'm looking for.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's your role play piece of you in heart. Yeah. I come from the same boat, so I'm with you. Well, Travis, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and opinions, and thank you for introducing us to your puppy.
Yes. I apologize for the puppy noises in the background.
Listen, it's either that or it's Arya in the background barking at our cats. So there's nothing I can do about it at this point. And see, she's sad too.
Yeah.
He's sad too. So anyway, excellent. We have a gaming day coming up soon where I'm coming down there to play with you guys. So we'll get some games in then.
Can't wait.
And thank you again. I appreciate your time, man.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care. All right. So welcome back. God, I'm losing my voice.
Yeah.
Came back with a little bit of a cold. Keep checking. It's still not COVID. So, okay. It's at the point where, I got my shots before we went. We got flu and COVID shots 3 weeks before we went. We needed our boosters. But we wore masks on the plane, which we understand is primary for the people around us and that kind of thing. It helps maybe a little bit, but you kind of take your chances. Right. I keep joking at work that I went to a super spreader event, but I mean, we washed our hands constantly.
Yeah.
We were trying to avoid shaking people's hands, but sometimes it's such a natural reaction. I was trying to just fist bump people instead.
Yep.
That is what it is. It is what it is. You got any final thoughts there, Chelle? Before we,
I don't know. Nope.
No?
You said all the things I'm going to say.
Said all the things you meant to say. You're a little tired.
I am a little tired.
Can't wait for next year.
Yeah, we got to rest up. We have like, what was it, 360 days, 359 days to rest up for next year.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. So yeah, Josh, did I get you? You got anything else you want to add there?
Man, hey, I had such a good time that I didn't want it to end, and I was ready to be home at the same time, and I can't wait for next year.
Yeah, I said as we were on our all day, because we were on the same flight out, like you, me, Don connected with us in Dallas. Aaron was with us. We played pass and play Lords of Waterdeep on my iPad all the way.
Yeah, that was a great way to pass a flight.
It passed. Yeah, it was good. I won. Just saying. And then And then
That's because I had never played before. Next time, I'll get
That
you.
is
you
the
probably
only
will.
reason Josh
That's probably the only reason. And you came close. What I would say is on the way out there, I had said, we've been waiting for this all weekend before we know it, the weekend's going to be over. And that was really true. That was really, really, I was ready to be done.
It flew by.
But man, it flew right by. It was fantastic. And thank you everybody at Adepticon for making such, the volunteers, the people we work with, just everybody involved, the vendors, the staff of the Baird Center were amazing. They were, and like I said, they were ecstatic about how friendly all of us were as gamers. So I think we showed up well, which is important. And there's a whole lot of opportunity for growth here that Milwaukee, like the city, wants us back. Like that's what I've heard. Like they are very excited about how it went.
It's a great place to be in.
Yeah, for sure. So with all that said, please leave us a review on your podcast app of choice if you can, or rate us how you feel is fair. We'd love 5 stars if that's what the top is. If there's 10-star top, give us a 10-star. If you think we can make improvements, you can reach out to us at Carl at the Independent Characters or Josh at the independentcharacters.com. Or you can reach us through Discord or Facebook. And by the way, if you're looking to join our Discord, you can now go to theindependentcharacters.com and there's a button on the right-hand side of the page. You just click there and you'll get an invite to join the Discord. So welcome. It's going well. We have the Hobby Progress Challenge, which is going very well. I'm wrapping up the prizes right now. It's running through June. So I got to get all those prizes in place. And and we got a Facebook group.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a Patreon. If you're looking for additional content, and Josh, we got to record something early next week. You can find additional Independent Characters content there as well.
Bonus content. Me and Carl talking, hanging out, talking shop.
Yep. All that good stuff. Okay. So until next time, this is Carl.
This is Josh.
This is Chelle.
And we're coming to you from the Astronomicon, where I already miss my friends in Milwaukee.
And where it's not about winning, but the models we paint, the stories we tell, and the friends we make along the way.
Where the brood mother is counting down the days to slaughter more Space Marines.
She came up with a different one. All right, we'll see you next time.
This episode of The Independent Characters is protected by the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find information on the front page at theindependentcharacters.com.